Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like no matter how many pills you take, or how many doctors you visit, the real pain inside just doesn't go away? Like you're trying everything, yet something feels incomplete? And what if I told you that sometimes the body doesn't need more medicines, it needs more peace? Strange, right? But think about it. When your mind is heavy, even the strongest medicine feels weak. When your heart is calm, even small changes heal you faster. Let me give you a small example. Imagine a garden. If you keep pouring chemical sprays, but never give it sunlight or water, will the plants grow? Medicines are like sprays. They help for a while. But the real sunlight and water, that's our breath, our calm mind, our way of living. So before we dive deep, welcome to Wisdom Woven. This little space is where we share simple but powerful truths that can change your life. You know, there are so many views on this channel, but only 0.3% actually subscribe. So if you feel these words touch your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps us reach more souls who may be searching for peace, just like you. Now, let's begin. Buddhism teaches us something very beautiful. That healing is not just about fixing the body. It's about touching the roots of our suffering. Medicines often fight symptoms, but the teachings of the Buddha guide us to see why the pain is there in the first place. When the Buddha spoke of suffering, he didn't say life is only pain. He said life brings challenges, aches, and troubles. But he also showed a way out. That way isn't found in a bottle of pills. It's found in how we breathe, how we think, how we love, and how we let go. Think of the breath for a second. Right now, while you're listening, just notice how you breathe. Simple, right? But that simple breath can be your first medicine. A deep, slow inhale can relax your body more than a tablet sometimes does. And in Buddhism, this breath becomes a doorway to calm, to focus, to quieting that storm inside. Healing without medicines doesn't mean rejecting doctors. It means learning that the true doctor lives inside you. The doctor who watches your mind, who listens to your body. Every moment we choose calmness over chaos, kindness over anger, patience over rushing, we are actually giving ourselves medicine without swallowing a pill. The Buddha's wisdom is like that. It invites us to live gently, to notice the small things, and to trust the healing power already inside us. This journey we're about to take together is not about rejecting the world. It's about finding balance in it, about discovering how your own thoughts, your own breath, and your own awareness can heal wounds medicines sometimes can't even touch. So stay with me, because what we'll uncover in the next parts may just open a door you didn't even know was locked. A door to a healthier, calmer, lighter you. The roots of suffering, understanding the cause. My dear friend, sit with me for a while. Let us not hurry, for healing never grows from rushing. You see, when a tree grows old and weak, people often look at the leaves first. They see them turning brown, falling one by one, and they say, "Ah, the tree is dying because of the leaves." But a wise gardener knows better. The leaves are only showing the story of what is hidden below. If the roots are dry, if the soil is poisoned, no matter how much you polish the leaves, the tree will keep suffering. In the same way, our suffering is not just about what we feel on the surface. The ache in the heart, the heaviness in the body, the confusion in the mind, all of these are only leaves. To truly heal, we must look at the roots. When I was younger, I used to believe suffering came from the outside world. I thought, if only the weather is calm, if only people are kind, if only I had enough food and shelter, then I will not suffer. But as years passed, I began to see something deeper. Even when life gave me comfort, my mind would still stir. I would still find myself restless, wanting something more, or fearing to lose what I had. That was when I understood. Suffering doesn't only come from outside, it grows from inside, from the roots of our craving and clinging. Let me share a simple story. Once, a farmer came to see the Buddha. He was upset because his crops were failing, his children didn't listen to him, and his wife sometimes argued. He asked the Buddha to solve all his problems. The Buddha smiled and said, "I cannot help you with the fact that crops sometimes fail, that children sometimes misbehave, that partners sometimes disagree. These are just the seasons of life. But I can show you a way to not suffer because of them. Do you see? Life will always bring troubles, but suffering is how we meet them. The roots of suffering are in how tightly we hold on. Many people believe if they remove all pain, they will be free. But life is not built that way. We cannot stop the rain from falling or the sun from setting. We cannot stop our body from aging or our loved ones from leaving. The Buddha showed us that pain is part of living, but suffering is optional. Suffering begins when we say, "This should not happen to me," or "I must not lose this." The more we resist change, the more we suffer. Like a man who clenches his fists so hard that even a small pebble begins to hurt. We too suffer by holding too tightly. Think of the river. It flows gently, carrying everything with it. The leaves, the twigs, even the dirt. It does not resist. If a rock falls into it, it flows around. If a storm comes, it carries the rain. That is the nature of life. But we, instead of flowing, we build walls. We say, "I want only this, I do not want that." We try to freeze the river. And when the water pushes against our walls, we feel the pain. The root of suffering is not the water. It is the wall we build. Sometimes students ask me, "Master, then should we stop caring? Should we not love or desire anything?" I smile and shake my head. Love is not the problem. Caring is not the problem. The problem is clinging. When we love someone but cling to them, fearing every moment of losing them, our love turns into a chain. But when we love freely, knowing change is part of life, that love becomes medicine. Desire itself is not evil. It is natural to want food when hungry, shelter when cold. But when desire becomes endless hunger, when nothing is enough, that is when it becomes the root of suffering. You may have noticed this in your own life. Maybe you bought something new, a phone, a dress, a car, and it made you happy for a little while. But after some days, the joy faded. Then the mind whispered, "Maybe I need something else. Maybe then I'll feel whole." And so the cycle goes on. That is craving, one of the deepest roots of suffering. It never stops asking, and it never fully satisfies. Another root is ignorance, not seeing things as they are. When we think life should stay the same forever, we are ignoring impermanence. When we believe people will act exactly how we want, we are ignoring their freedom. When we assume happiness comes only from outside, we ignore the treasure inside us. Ignorance is like walking in the dark. We keep bumping into walls and wondering why we are hurt. The Buddha called it avidya, the blindness of not knowing. Now, my dear one, do not be discouraged. Recognizing the roots of suffering is not meant to make us sad. It is like a doctor discovering the illness before giving the cure. If we never understand the illness, how can we heal? The good news is that roots can be nourished, soil can be cleared, and a tree can bloom again. The Buddha gave us not just diagnosis, but a path. By seeing where suffering begins, we also see where freedom begins. I remember once, a man came to me carrying great anger. He said his life was full of injustice. People always wronged him, and he could never find peace. I asked him to sit with his anger like it was a guest. At first he laughed. Why would I sit with anger? But I told him, if you keep slamming the door on your guest, he will keep banging. If you open the door and offer tea, he will calm down. Anger, fear, craving, these are not enemies to fight. They are roots to understand. When you see clearly why they grow, you begin to loosen their grip. Imagine holding a rope that is burning. If you keep holding, your hand will burn more. But if you slowly loosen, the pain eases. This is the way with suffering. The tighter we hold, the more we burn. But the moment we soften, even a little, healing begins. This softening is not weakness. It is wisdom. So let us sit with this truth gently. Life brings pain, yes, but suffering, that endless ache of resistance, comes from our own mind. The roots are craving, clinging, and ignorance. They are deep, but not unbreakable. With mindfulness, compassion, and understanding, we can heal the soil of our life. And once the roots are nourished, the whole tree begins to blossom again. Take a breath now. Let it in slowly. Let it out gently. In this small act, notice how your body calms. This is already the medicine. The roots of suffering may be deep, but the seed of peace is deeper. And every time you breathe with awareness, every time you release one small grip of craving, you water that seed. And from there, true healing begins. Breath as the first medicine. My dear one, let us sit quietly for a moment. Close your eyes if you wish, or simply soften your gaze. Can you feel the rise and fall of your chest, the air entering and leaving your body? This simple rhythm has been with you since the first moment you arrived in this world. You did not have to learn it. You did not have to buy it. You did not have to earn it. It is simply a gift that life gives. The breath is the thread that ties together every moment of our life, and yet we often forget it, as if it is too ordinary to hold any wisdom. But the truth is, this very breath, the one you are taking right now, is your first medicine. Long before there were pills, before doctors and hospitals, before machines and injections, there was breath. The body knew how to heal itself with the power of air moving in and out. When you are frightened, notice how your breathing becomes fast and shallow. When you are calm, it slows down, it softens. The body is always whispering to you through the breath. The question is, are you listening? When I was a young monk, my teacher once asked me to carry water from the river. I was rushing, thinking only of finishing the task. My steps were uneven, my breath was heavy, and the water kept spilling from the pot. He looked at me and laughed gently. You see, he said, even a strong pot cannot carry water if the one holding it is not breathing well. Your breath is the handle. Without it, everything slips. I did not understand then, but with time, I realized he was showing me that breath is not just air. It is balance. It is life itself. Think about how we live. Many people spend their days in hurry. Wake up, rush to work, eat fast, talk fast, think fast. And all through this rushing, the breath becomes shallow, tight, almost forgotten. In such a state, even small troubles feel huge. But when you slow down, when you breathe deeply, your whole body begins to feel lighter. You may not notice, but every deep breath is like a gentle message to your heart saying, "It's okay, you are safe now." There is a saying in old teachings, when the breath is unsteady, the mind is unsteady. When the breath is calm, the mind is calm. You have seen this yourself. Have you ever noticed when you cry deeply, the breath comes in waves, heavy and uneven? Or when you are angry, Your breath feels hot, quick, almost burning. And when you are in love or peaceful, the breath feels open and soft, like a gentle breeze in spring. The breath always mirrors the state of the mind, and at the same time, the mind follows the breath. Let me tell you another story. Once, a man came to me, saying he could not sleep at night. His thoughts were too many, his heart was restless, and even though he tried medicine, it did not help. I asked him to lie down and place one hand on his chest, the other on his belly. I told him to just feel the rise and fall of each breath, nothing else. At first, he grew impatient, saying, "This is too simple, master, it will not work." But I asked him to stay, to trust the practice. After some minutes, his face softened and his body relaxed. By the end, he was almost asleep. Do you see? The medicine he needed was already inside him, carried by his breath. Breath is not just a tool to keep us alive. It is a bridge between body and mind. Imagine two friends who often argue. The body and the mind. The body says, "I am tired." But the mind says, "Keep going." The body says, "I am in pain." But the mind says, "Ignore it." So they keep fighting. The breath is like the wise elder who steps between them and says, "Come, sit together, find peace." When the breath is calm, body and mind begin to agree again. Sometimes students ask me, "Master, what is the right way to breathe?" I smile and say, "The right way is the natural way." But we have forgotten natural breathing. We breathe only into the chest, short and rushed. Natural breathing is like the waves in the ocean, deep, slow, rolling in and out without force. If you place your hand on your belly and feel it rise as you inhale and fall as you exhale, you will remember what natural breath feels like. This is the medicine your body has been waiting for. And let me tell you, this medicine has no side effects, no expiry date, no cost. It is available in every moment. Whether you are in the city or in the forest, rich or poor, young or old, it never abandons you. Even when you forget it, it stays patient, ready to heal when you turn back to it. The Buddha himself practiced with breath. The teachings say that before his awakening, he sat under the Bodhi tree and followed his breath in silence. Breath by breath, his mind grew clear, his heart opened, and he touched the truth beyond suffering. He did not need a temple, he did not need scriptures. He only needed the simple rhythm of air flowing in and out. If the Buddha found freedom through breath, why do we think it is too small for us? Sometimes you may feel broken, lost, or overwhelmed. In those moments, remember, you do not need to fix everything at once. Just take one breath. Feel it enter, feel it leave. One conscious breath can be like a candle in a dark room. It does not remove all darkness, but it shows you where to place your next step. Step by step, breath by breath, the darkness begins to fade. I once met a mother who was always anxious about her children. She worried about their safety, their future, their choices. She told me she could not rest even for a moment. I taught her to pause whenever worry came, and instead of running with the thought, to return to her breath. At first, it was difficult. The worries felt stronger. But with practice, she learned that the breath gave her an anchor, a place to stand when the waves of worry rose high. Later, she said, "My children are the same, but I am different. I no longer drown in fear." That is the gift of breath. It does not change the world outside. It changes how we meet it. Breathing is also a way of touching the present. Many people live only in the past or the future. They replay old pains, or they dream and worry about what is not yet here. But while they are lost in time, life is happening right now, in this breath. Each breath is a reminder. You are alive. You are here. This moment is enough. Healing begins not in yesterday, not in tomorrow, but in this very inhale and exhale. So whenever you feel scattered, remember this. Come home to your breath. Place your attention gently, not with force, like placing a feather on still water. Do not control. Do not judge. Simply notice. With each breath, you return home to yourself. This is the medicine that heals not just the body, but the soul. The breath teaches patience. You cannot rush it. You cannot demand more air than your lungs can hold. It comes in its own time. It leaves in its own time. This rhythm is the same rhythm of life. When you trust your breath, you are learning to trust life itself. And finally, dear one, remember this. The first cry of a newborn is a breath, and the last sigh of a dying person is also a breath. From first to last, it is our most faithful companion. Between those two breaths, we live our whole story. If you learn to honor the breath, to live with it fully, you are already healing, already awakening, already walking the path of peace. Mindfulness in everyday healing. My dear friend, have you ever noticed how much of life passes by without us really being present for it? We eat our food but hardly taste it. We walk from one place to another without seeing the path. We sit with people we love, but our minds are somewhere else. Life slips through our fingers like sand, because we are always somewhere other than here. And yet, here is where healing lives. This is what mindfulness is about. Coming home to the present, to the only moment where life truly happens. When I was a young student, I remember sweeping the monastery floor. My mind was restless, thinking of other things I wanted to do, places I wanted to be. I swept quickly, as if rushing would bring me peace. My teacher walked by and asked, "Are you sweeping the floor, or are you being swept away by your thoughts?" His words struck me. I realized I wasn't sweeping the floor at all. I was lost in a storm inside my head. From that day, I began to learn that every simple act could become medicine if I was mindful. Mindfulness is not something strange or complicated. It is not sitting on a mountain for years. It is simply being here for your life as it unfolds. When you drink tea, really drink it. Feel the warmth of the cup. Notice the steam rising. Taste the flavor slowly. When you walk, feel the ground under your feet. Hear the sounds around you. Notice the rhythm of your steps. When you breathe, let yourself be aware of the breath filling and leaving your body. These small moments, lived fully, are drops of healing that gather into an ocean of peace. Many people think healing means removing pain completely, but mindfulness shows us a different way. When you are mindful, you do not run away from pain, and you do not drown in it either. You simply notice it, breathe with it, allow it to be. Like sitting with a friend who is upset. You don't need to solve their problem, you just need to be there with them. When you bring this gentle attention to your own suffering, something changes. The pain may still be there, but it no longer controls you. You become bigger than the pain. I once met a man who had constant headaches. He said he fought against them every day, trying to push them away, but nothing worked. I told him, instead of fighting, try to listen. Place your hand on your head, breathe softly, and just notice the ache as it is. At first, he resisted. How could noticing help? But when he tried, he found that by observing without judgment, the headache became lighter. The struggle was gone, and what remained was only sensation. He later told me, "The headache may come, but it doesn't own me anymore." That is the power of mindfulness. Mindfulness turns ordinary actions into healing rituals. Washing your hands becomes a moment of cleansing, not just the skin, but also the mind. Cooking food becomes a practice of nourishing the body with love. Even sweeping the floor becomes a meditation on letting go of dust inside the heart. When we live this way, life itself becomes medicine. The Buddha once compared mindfulness to a lamp. In a dark room, we stumble, we knock against things, we hurt ourselves. But if someone lights a lamp, suddenly the path is clear. The room is the same, the obstacles are the same, but now we can see. In the same way, mindfulness does not remove all difficulties, but it lights them up. And when we see clearly, we walk more gently, more wisely, and with less suffering. It is common to think mindfulness is only for quiet places like temples or gardens. But true practice is in everyday life. When you wash dishes, instead of rushing to finish, try to feel the water, the soap, the movement of your hands. When you speak to someone, instead of thinking of what to say next, truly listen. When you eat, instead of staring at a screen, notice the colors, the textures, the gift of food that came from the earth and many hands. These little acts bring you back to the present, where healing happens naturally. I remember a woman who came to me with great sorrow. She had lost someone dear and could not find peace. I asked her to take mindful walks in the garden every morning. At first, she said it was useless. The grief was too heavy. But she agreed to try. Each step, she was told, should be an act of simply being with the earth, breathing, and noticing life still around her. After weeks, she returned with tears in her eyes, but softer ones. She said, "The grief is still here, but I can breathe again. I can feel the sun on my skin. I can see the flowers without breaking." Mindfulness did not erase her loss, but it gave her the strength to live with it. In this way, mindfulness is not escape. It is a gentle returning to life. When we are mindful, we do not hide from suffering, but we are not swallowed by it either. We learn to walk in balance, one step at a time, one breath at a time, and slowly, this balance becomes strength. This strength becomes peace, and this peace becomes healing. So, my dear one, do not think you must wait for the perfect time to practice. You do not need a quiet forest or a long retreat. You already have all the conditions: your breath, your body, your daily life. Begin where you are, with whatever you are doing right now. Wash, eat, walk, breathe, love, all with awareness. This is the medicine always available, always free, always with you. Walking slowly through the river of time. My dear friend, let me share with you something that we often forget in the hurry of life. Have you ever noticed how we walk so quickly? Not only on the road, but also inside our own hearts? We keep rushing, as if time itself is chasing us. But tell me, what happens when you walk too fast by a river? You don't really see the water. You don't hear the small music it makes. You don't notice how the sunlight touches the surface and plays like a child. Life is very much like this river. If you run past it, you will only say, "Yes, there was water." But if you slow down, suddenly the river begins to speak with you. It tells you stories that cannot be heard in any book. When I was young, I also used to think that walking fast means reaching somewhere quicker, and reaching quicker means I am successful. But one day my teacher asked me a very strange question. He said, "If you walk faster than the flower blooms, will the flower bloom earlier?" I laughed and said, "Of course not, master." He smiled and placed his hand on my shoulder. "Then why do you walk faster than your own heart?" That single sentence changed me. I realized I was missing the fragrance of my own life because I was walking too quickly through it. You see, time is not really something outside us. Time is breathing with us. Every breath we take is a tiny drop in the great river of time. When we breathe slowly, Gently, the river becomes calm, and we can see our reflection clearly in it. But when we breathe with tension, when we run, the water becomes muddy, waves rise, and we cannot see ourselves anymore. That is why sometimes people say, "I don't know who I am." It is not because they are lost. It is only because the river has become too disturbed to show their face. I will tell you a small story from the village where I grew up. There was an old man who used to sit on the same wooden bench every evening, near the banyan tree. Every child in the village would ask him, "Grandfather, why you just sit here and do nothing? Don't you get bored?" And he would laugh softly, his wrinkles folding like small rivers on his face. He said, "I am not doing nothing. I am listening to time walking through me." At that age, I did not understand what he meant. I thought he was simply lazy. But now, after walking many years myself, I understand. He was not wasting time. He was slowly drinking it, sip by sip, like hot tea on a cool morning. Sometimes, when I walk slowly on the path near the monastery, I hear the birds singing. But if I am too busy thinking about tomorrow, I only see feathers moving in the air. The song is lost. And isn't it the same in our daily life? We meet people we love, our mother, father, children, friends. But because we are hurrying, we only see their faces, not their hearts. We only hear their words, not their silence. Walking slowly through time means we start to notice these hidden treasures. I want you to imagine this, as if you are sitting with me under a tree. Imagine you are holding a cup of water. If your hand shakes too much, the water spills and you lose it. But if you hold it steady, calm, the water stays, and you can even see the sky inside it. That is how life is. If we hurry too much, everything spills. Moments spill. Memories spill. Smiles spill. But if we hold them gently, they stay with us forever. Many people ask me, "Master, what is the meaning of life?" And I tell them, life has no meaning if you only run, but it has endless meaning if you walk slowly. Because when you walk slowly, you suddenly see that every small thing is carrying a message for you. The sound of the wind is teaching you patience. The way a child laughs is teaching you innocence. The way an old woman prays is teaching you devotion. None of this can be seen when your eyes are racing ahead of your feet. Walking slowly does not mean you give up your work or your responsibilities. It simply means you don't allow life to pass without tasting it. You still go to your job. You still take care of your family. You still dream about tomorrow. But you also give yourself permission to pause, to breathe, to touch the present moment. Just as you cannot eat all the food of your lifetime in one day, you also cannot live all your moments at once. You must eat one meal at a time, taste it fully, and then move on. The same with life. Sometimes I meet young students who tell me, "But Master, if I slow down, I will be left behind." I smile and ask them, "Left behind where? Who is chasing you? Where is everyone going?" The truth is, there is no final race. The finish line is only death, and no one wants to reach that faster, do they? So why hurry? When you walk slowly, you are not behind anyone. You are simply with yourself. I remember one evening, I was sitting near a small pond. The water was so still that I could see the moon sitting in it. A little boy came running, threw a stone, and the moon broke into 1,000 pieces. He shouted, "Master, I broke the moon." I laughed and told him, "No, child, the moon is still whole. You only disturb the water." That is exactly what happens with our life when we hurry. We think everything is broken, but nothing is broken. Only the water is disturbed. If we wait, if we let the ripples settle, the moon will appear again, whole and beautiful. So, my dear friend, remember this whenever you feel life is rushing. Sit down, breathe slowly, look around you. Notice how even the smallest leaf moves gently in the wind. That leaf has nowhere to go, yet it dances. Can you not also dance like that, without hurry? Time is already walking. You don't need to run faster than it. You only need to walk slowly, hand in hand with it, like walking with an old friend. And if one day someone asks you, what is your biggest treasure in life? You may not need to show them gold or silver. You can simply smile and say, I learned to walk slowly through the river of time. That is enough. That is more precious than anything you can buy, because it means you truly lived, not just existed. Meditation as inner pharmacy. My dear friend, let us speak today of something that is often misunderstood. Many people think meditation is just sitting still, closing eyes, or trying to empty the mind. But the truth is far deeper, far more gentle. Meditation is like a pharmacy, but not the kind you go to with coins in your hand. It is an inner pharmacy, a place where the body, the mind, and the heart come together to heal themselves naturally. And the best part is, it is always available. You do not need a prescription. You do not need a label. You only need yourself. When I first began practicing meditation, I thought it would solve all my problems immediately. I imagined that if I closed my eyes long enough, all my fears, pains, and worries would vanish like mist. But the first few days, nothing happened. My mind jumped like a monkey from thought to thought. My body ached. I felt foolish sitting there. Then my teacher smiled and said, the medicine is working, even if you cannot see it yet. The roots are softening. I did not understand, but slowly, with each session, I began to notice small changes. My mind became less harsh with itself. My heart felt lighter when sadness came. My body relaxed even when tired. Meditation is a practice of patience, my friend. Healing in this way is not instant. It is subtle, quiet, like water slowly soaking into dry soil. Imagine you are planting a seed. You cannot force it to grow faster. You water it, give it sunlight, and the earth nurtures it. Day by day, the seed begins to sprout, and if you are patient, eventually it becomes a tree. Meditation is the same. Each session, each breath, each moment of awareness is a drop of water nourishing the roots of your inner health. Sometimes students ask me, Master, why do I feel more restless after meditating? And I smile, because this is very common. Meditation does not remove your emotions or thoughts. It brings them to the surface gently, like clouds floating across the sky. At first, the clouds may seem heavy and dark, but once you watch them without struggle, they pass. Your mind learns to observe instead of reacting. And in that observing, the real healing begins. Let me share a story with you. There was a young woman who suffered from constant tension and stomach pain. She had seen doctors, taken medicines, and even tried therapies, but the relief was temporary. When she came to me, I asked her to sit and meditate for a few minutes each day, simply observing her breath. At first, she was doubtful, but over weeks, she noticed that when she breathed slowly and paid attention to her body, the tightness in her stomach softened. When she combined this with gentle awareness of her emotions, accepting fear, sadness, or anger without fighting them, her body began to release tension naturally. Eventually, she told me, I feel like I carry less weight in my chest. I can breathe freely. That is the power of meditation as medicine. Many people think medicine heals only the body, but meditation heals the whole self. The mind becomes calmer, the heart becomes gentler, and the body responds. When you meditate, even for a few minutes, your nervous system receives a message. It is safe now. You can relax. Stress hormones reduce, blood pressure lowers, muscles loosen, and the heart opens just a little more. This is not imagination, my friend. It is the body responding to the medicine it already has within it. I often tell students, think of your mind as a garden. Meditation is the act of tending it. If you leave weeds unattended, they grow quickly and overtake the flowers. But if you water, remove stones, give sunlight, the flowers begin to bloom. Thoughts of anger, fear, or doubt are like weeds. Meditation teaches you to notice them, to understand them, and then to let them go without judgment. With time, the flowers of peace, patience, and joy blossom naturally. One of the most beautiful things about meditation is its simplicity. You do not need a fancy cushion, a special room, or even silence around you. You can meditate while walking, while washing dishes, while drinking tea. True meditation is not escaping life. It is fully inhabiting it. Every moment becomes a chance to notice, to breathe, to heal. And when you make this a habit, the effects ripple outward. Your relationships soften, your reactions become calmer, your health improves quietly but surely. A friend once came to me, burdened with sadness from a recent loss. He could not sleep, could not eat, could not find peace. I taught him to meditate on his breath, and also on the presence of the person he lost. He did not resist the pain. He sat with it, observing it as if it were a gentle river flowing through him. Over weeks, he told me that while he still missed the loved one, he was no longer drowning in grief. He could remember them with a smile instead of only tears. Meditation had become his inner pharmacy, soothing not just the body but the heart. Meditation also teaches self-compassion, my friend. We are often our own harshest critics. We push, we judge, we punish ourselves for not being enough. But in meditation, we learn to sit with ourselves, to breathe with ourselves, to allow ourselves to be exactly as we are in this moment. That simple act of acceptance begins to heal old wounds, emotional scars, and tired hearts. I remember a monk once told me, "You cannot pour medicine into a cup that is already full." And I understood. If your mind is overflowing with fear, anger, regret, there is no space for healing. Meditation creates that space. It empties the cup gently, not by force, but by awareness. And once the cup is empty, it can be filled with peace, clarity, and health. Even the Buddha taught that the mind is the source of both suffering and healing. By training the mind, by giving it medicine through awareness, compassion, and patience, we create freedom. Meditation is the way to practice this every day. The body responds, the heart softens, and the mind begins to see clearly. Illness may still come. Life may still bring challenges, but you meet them with strength, with balance, and with peace. Think of meditation as a conversation with yourself. Not a noisy argument, not a judgmental lecture, but a gentle dialogue. You notice your thoughts and feelings, you acknowledge them, and then you release them without clinging. Slowly, the medicine works. You begin to feel lighter, calmer, healthier. And over months, over years, the subtle changes become profound. You realize that the mind can be a healer, the breath can be a balm, and your awareness can be a medicine cabinet you carry with you wherever you go. My dear friend, know this. Even 5 minutes of meditation each day is a gift to yourself. Even one breath taken with full attention can begin the healing process. And the more you practice, the more the inner pharmacy opens its doors. The herbs are simple: awareness, patience, acceptance, but their effects are profound. They restore harmony to your body, calm to your mind, and tenderness to your heart. So whenever you feel tension, whenever your body aches, whenever your mind is restless, remember that the medicine is already within you. Sit, breathe, notice, and allow the natural healing to begin. No doctor, no pill, no ritual is more powerful than this inner practice. The body knows how to heal, the mind knows how to settle, and the heart knows how to forgive itself. Meditation is the bridge that connects all these, the first and last pharmacy you will ever need. The healing power of thoughts. My dear friend, let us sit for a while and talk about something that often goes unnoticed, something that flows quietly in our minds like a hidden river. Have you ever thought about how much power your own thoughts have over your body, your emotions, your life? Many people think that the body acts alone, that illness comes from outside, or that happiness comes from circumstances. But in truth, the mind and its thoughts are like gardeners. They plant seeds, water them, and shape the entire landscape of our health and well-being. When I was younger, I saw many monks struggling with pain or sadness, and I wondered why. Some were in perfect physical health, but their faces looked tired, worn, heavy. Others were sick in body, yet their eyes shone bright with peace. One day, my teacher looked at me and said, "The body listens to the mind, and the mind listens to the heart. If your thoughts are harsh, the body feels it. If your thoughts are kind, the body heals itself." I did not understand fully then, but slowly, through observation, I began to notice the subtle dance between mind and body. Think of a thought as a tiny spark. If the spark is angry, restless, or fearful, it ignites tension in your muscles, tightens your chest, and disturbs your breathing. If the spark is gentle, grateful, or loving, it softens the heart, eases pain, and allows energy to flow freely. Most of the time, we do not notice these sparks. We let our minds wander, replay worries from the past, or imagine problems in the future, and the body suffers silently. But when we become aware of our thoughts, when we notice them without judgment, we begin to interrupt the automatic patterns that bring suffering. I remember a young man who came to me, saying he felt constantly drained, even though doctors found nothing wrong. He was frustrated, anxious, and restless. I asked him to pay attention to his thoughts for a day. At first, he found only complaints, fears, and what-ifs. Then I asked him to try a simple exercise. For every negative thought, he should gently replace it with something small and positive. A memory of warmth, a smile from a friend, a moment of gratitude. He was skeptical, but he tried. After a few weeks, he returned with a different glow. His tension eased, his energy returned, and even his sleep improved. Thoughts, my friend, are truly medicine or poison, depending on how we treat them. Do you see, my friend, how often we underestimate our mind? We think we cannot control it, that thoughts are random, like leaves blowing in the wind. But the wind itself can be guided. With gentle attention, with patience, we can turn the mind into a river that nourishes life, rather than a storm that destroys it. Meditation, mindfulness, and conscious reflection are the tools to guide this river. And in doing so, we allow the body and heart to heal naturally. I once watched a mother with a sick child. She was anxious, scared, thinking only of what could go wrong. The child, sensitive to her energy, became more restless. Then I asked her to close her eyes, take a few deep breaths, and imagine her child surrounded by calm, loving energy. To her surprise, the child relaxed, the fever eased, and the tension melted from both their bodies. Thoughts, my dear friend, carry energy, and energy travels faster than medicine, faster than words. The Buddha said that the mind is the forerunner of all things. That means every thought, every intention, begins in the mind and then manifests in life. If we feed our mind with fear, worry, and anger, our body and our world reflect it. But if we feed it with kindness, patience, and compassion, our inner world transforms. It does not happen instantly, and it is not magic. It is practice, daily practice, noticing thoughts, letting go of harmful patterns, and planting seeds of peace and love. Even the smallest thought can make a difference. A single thought of gratitude can calm the nervous system, release tension from the shoulders, and invite warmth into the heart. A single thought of compassion can soften anger, reduce stress, and even influence the body's healing processes. This is why I tell my students that thoughts are not just private mental chatter. They are active forces shaping life moment by moment. Sometimes, negative thoughts come uninvited. That is normal. Do not fight them harshly. Do not blame yourself. Instead, acknowledge them, name them gently, and then return to something nourishing. A breath, a memory, a small act of kindness. Imagine a garden where weeds grow among flowers. You do not uproot the flowers. You carefully remove the weeds. Over time, with care, the garden thrives. This is exactly how we work with our thoughts. I remember an old monk who said to me, "If you want to heal the body, first feed the mind. Feed it with quiet. Feed it with love. Feed it with understanding." I did not understand fully until many years later. He meant that every illness, every discomfort, begins in subtle tension, fear, or doubt. When the mind relaxes, when the heart softens, the body remembers its natural state of balance. It begins to heal itself. Thoughts also affect how we see the world. When your mind is heavy with worry, even small challenges feel like mountains. When your mind is clear and kind, difficulties appear manageable, even opportunities. The way we interpret our experiences influences not just our emotions, but also our physical responses. Stress hormones, blood pressure, digestion. All of these are shaped by the mind. In this sense, our thoughts are not just thoughts. They are the invisible doctors walking beside us, day and night. A student once asked me, "Master, how do I stop negative thoughts completely?" I laughed gently and said, "You cannot stop clouds from passing through the sky, but you can learn to watch them without fear. To try to suppress every thought is futile and exhausting. Instead, the practice is awareness. Notice the thought, do not follow it blindly, and let it go. With patience, the mind begins to settle, the body begins to relax, and natural healing arises. Even joy can be medicine. When you allow yourself to remember a happy moment, to smile at something small, or to laugh freely, you are stimulating your body to release tension and invite balance. The chemicals in your brain respond to joy as naturally as the body responds to nourishment. This is why playfulness, curiosity, and wonder are not just for children. They are essential tools for adult healing as well. Every thought carries a subtle vibration, an energy that moves through your body. When we are angry, tight, or fearful, that energy compresses the chest, clenches muscles, and disturbs sleep. When we are calm, loving, and patient, the energy flows freely, and the body aligns itself naturally. Even science, in its way, has begun to see this connection. Stress affects immunity, mindset affects recovery. But ancient wisdom understood it long before there were studies. My dear one, the practice is simple, though not easy. Observe your thoughts. Speak kindly to yourself. Imagine the mind as a calm pond, and each thought as a leaf floating on it. Some leaves are dry and sharp, some are soft and green. Notice them. Do not panic, do not cling. The pond itself remains clear, deep, and healing. I once guided a woman recovering from chronic illness. She would fall into spirals of worry and despair. Each time, we would practice sitting together, watching her thoughts like clouds passing. Slowly, she began to notice patterns, respond gently instead of reacting harshly, and allow herself moments of calm. Over time, her body began to show signs of healing. Energy returned, pain softened, sleep deepened. Meditation and awareness of thoughts were her most powerful medicine. The truth, my friend, is that you carry a pharmacy inside your head. Your thoughts can heal, your awareness can calm, and your heart can soften what is tight and painful in your body. It takes practice, it takes patience, it takes kindness toward yourself. There is no rush, no magic pill. Just gentle observation, deliberate thought, and small acts of care toward yourself every day. Even when life brings challenges, remember this. Your mind is your companion, your constant ally. Feed it well. Treat it with care. Allow it to cultivate peace, compassion, and love. These are the medicines that never expire, that have no side effects, and that can travel with you wherever you go. Healing begins here, my friend, with a single thought, a single breath, a single moment of awareness. Breath as the bridge to healing. My dear friend, today let us explore something so simple that we often overlook it, yet so powerful that it can transform the body, mind, and heart. I speak of the breath. Have you ever noticed how rarely we truly pay attention to it? Most of the time, it comes and goes without thought, like a river flowing quietly beneath the surface of our awareness. Yet the breath is more than air moving in and out of the lungs. It is the bridge between the body and the mind, the quiet messenger that can carry healing, calm, and peace into every corner of your being. When I was a young student, I struggled with anxiety and tension. My mind raced constantly, and my body felt like a coiled spring, ready to snap at any moment. One day, my teacher asked me to sit, close my eyes, and simply watch my breath. Do not try to control it, he said gently. Just notice it, like listening to a small stream in the forest. At first, it seemed almost impossible. My breath was jagged, uneven, and my thoughts screamed for attention. But slowly, over days and weeks, I began to feel a subtle shift. The body relaxed slightly with each exhale. The mind, once frantic, began to feel a trace of calm. Breath is like a medicine that is always within reach. When you are tired, stressed, or fearful, a few deep, conscious breaths can soothe the nervous system, lower tension in the muscles, and bring clarity to the mind. Imagine a tightly knotted rope. Each anxious thought, each worry, adds a twist. Now imagine slowly undoing the rope, twist by twist. This is what mindful breathing does. It untangles the knots within us. And the beauty is, it requires nothing but your attention and willingness. I remember a woman who came to me carrying a lifetime of worry. Her shoulders were tight, her chest heavy, and her mind like a stormy sea. I asked her simply, "Can you breathe with me for a few moments?" She was hesitant, but agreed. Together, we inhaled slowly, held for a brief pause, then exhaled gently, allowing the air to flow naturally. After several minutes, her shoulders softened, her face relaxed, and she said, "I have not felt like this in years." Breath, when observed with love and patience, becomes a gentle healer. Many people misunderstand the breath as merely a physiological process, but it is so much more than that. Each inhale carries life and awareness. Each exhale releases tension, fear, and resistance. The breath is like a friend who listens quietly without judgment. If you are angry, it can soothe. If you are sad, it can comfort. If you are anxious, it can steady, and yet, it asks nothing from you except to be noticed. I often tell my students that the breath is a mirror. Watch it, and you will see yourself. When the breath is shallow, the mind is restless. When the breath is tight, the heart is constricted. When the breath is free and flowing, the body, mind, and heart are in harmony. There is no need to force it, to manipulate it unnaturally. Simply observe, and gradually, the breath adjusts, naturally guiding you toward balance. Sometimes, I guide people to imagine their breath as a river, flowing gently through the body. Inhale, and imagine the water flowing into every corner, nourishing cells, softening tension. Exhale, and imagine the river carrying away fatigue, fear, and pain. The mind begins to calm because it senses the rhythm, the gentleness of the flow. The body begins to release because it trusts the natural cadence of life moving in and out. Breathing also connects us to the present moment. The mind often wanders, jumping between memories and imagined futures. But the breath is always here now. To watch it is to anchor yourself in the present, and in this anchoring, healing begins. A person lost in worry or fear carries tension throughout the body, weakening its natural defenses. A person present with the breath allows relaxation to seep in, energy to circulate, and life to pulse fully. I once taught a young man recovering from chronic pain to breathe with his body, not against it. Place your attention where the pain is, I said softly. Do not fight it. Breathe with it. Allow the air to move into that space. He hesitated, thinking it would intensify discomfort. But over time, he discovered that the simple act of mindful breathing reduced tension, softened the muscles around the pain, and brought a quiet relief that no pill had given him. Breath, my friend, is patient, silent, and profoundly wise. Even the rhythm of the breath teaches a lesson about life. Inhale, exhale, pause, repeat. There is no rush. There is no demand. Life flows in cycles, like the tide or the seasons. When we fight this natural rhythm, when we push, pull, and resist, we create tension and suffering. But when we align with it, even partially, healing unfolds naturally. The heart slows, the mind eases, the body listens and responds. Breath is also a teacher of self-compassion. When you notice yourself tense, frustrated, or fearful, bring attention to the inhale and exhale. Speak gently to yourself with a rhythm. It is okay. You are here. You are breathing. You are alive. These simple words, paired with awareness of breath, carry immense healing energy. They teach the heart to forgive itself, to release judgment, to return to softness. I remember guiding a woman through grief. Her heart felt heavy with loss, her chest tight with sorrow. I asked her to sit and breathe into the pain, to allow the breath to expand the chest, soften the shoulders, and release what she could. At first, it was difficult. Tears flowed freely. But gradually, with patience, the heaviness lessened. The body relaxed. The heart began to feel lighter. The breath had carried her through the first steps of healing, showing her that even in sorrow, life could be gentle. The breath can also awaken vitality. When you feel sluggish, unmotivated, or weary, deep, conscious breathing sends oxygen and awareness to every part of your body. The mind becomes sharper, the heart more receptive, and the body energized. This is not mystical. It is simply the body responding to its natural rhythms when attended to with presence and care. I once saw an elder who had survived illness after illness. When asked his secret, he simply smiled and said, "I breathe. I pay attention to the air moving in and out, and my body listens." There is no elaborate practice, no complicated ritual. Just a moment, a breath, a return to awareness. And in that simplicity, immense healing power resides. Even in our most ordinary moments, we can connect with this medicine. When washing dishes, walking to the market, or listening to a friend, notice the breath. Let it guide your attention. Let it remind you that life flows in and out, moment by moment. The breath is always available, always generous, always ready to bring balance and peace. My dear friend, remember this. The next time you feel tension, anxiety, or fatigue, close your eyes for a few breaths. Follow the inhale gently. Follow the exhale softly. Imagine the air moving through your entire being, touching every organ, every cell, every thought, every feeling. The body relaxes, the mind calms, the heart softens. Breath is the first pharmacy we all possess. It is patient, free, and endlessly kind. And even when life challenges you, when the heart is heavy, when the mind races, the breath remains. It is a constant companion, a silent teacher, a bridge between what is restless and what is still, between suffering and healing. With each mindful inhale and exhale, you are practicing the most profound form of self-care, the simplest and most effective medicine that exists within you. Mindful eating, nourishing body and soul. My dear friend, today let us speak about something so ordinary, yet so profound, that most people overlook it entirely: eating. Have you ever noticed how often we eat while distracted, while worried, while thinking about tomorrow or yesterday, never really present with the food on our plate? In our hurry, we forget that eating is not just filling the stomach. It is a sacred act, a dialogue between the body and the world, a moment where we can practice mindfulness and self-healing. When I was younger, I too rushed through meals. I would eat quickly, hardly tasting, hardly noticing. My mind would race with worries, regrets, or plans, and I thought this was normal. But over time, I noticed subtle aches in my stomach, low energy, and an inner restlessness that no amount of sleep could soothe. One day, my teacher asked me to eat a single meal in complete awareness. Just one meal, nothing else. I was skeptical, but I agreed. With each bite, I noticed the texture, the taste, the warmth, the aroma. I felt the gratitude for the food, the farmers, the sun, the rain. Slowly, my body responded. Digestion felt easier, energy returned, and my mind became calmer. I realized that eating could be medicine when done mindfully. Mindful eating is about presence. It is about bringing your attention fully to the act of nourishing yourself, moment by moment. Each bite becomes a tiny meditation. The food is not just substance. It is energy, life, and connection. When you chew slowly, when you taste fully, the body can absorb nutrients more effectively. The mind relaxes, the heart softens, and even small changes in this practice ripple outward into your health, your relationships, your entire day. I once guided a young woman who had struggled with chronic digestive issues. She was frustrated, tired, and anxious. I asked her to begin noticing each bite she took. Not changing her diet, just noticing. At first, she was impatient and restless, but gradually, she began to sense when she was full, when her body wanted water, when her stomach needed a pause. Over weeks, her discomfort eased. Her body began to respond because she had begun to honor it. She had turned each meal into an act of healing, a ritual of awareness. Eating mindfully also nurtures gratitude. Many of us take our food for granted, forgetting the countless elements that brought it to us: the sun, the soil, the rain, the farmer's hands. By pausing and acknowledging this web of life, even briefly, we create a sense of reverence that softens the mind and relaxes the body. Gratitude itself is a subtle medicine. It reduces stress, opens the heart, and allows the body to function more harmoniously. I remember an elder monk who would eat only a few grains at a time, chewing each one carefully, appreciating its texture and flavor. To the untrained eye, it might seem excessive, even silly, but this practice allowed his body to digest fully, his mind to remain calm, and his heart to remain humble. He often said, "To eat without awareness is to steal from the body the chance to heal." I understood then that every bite can either nourish or burden, depending on the attention we bring to it. Breath and eating are connected. When we eat in a hurry, shallow breathing accompanies the process. This creates tension in the stomach, reduces nutrient absorption, and leaves the body restless. When we eat mindfully, pausing to breathe between bites, the body relaxes, digestion improves, and a sense of calm permeates the mind. Even the simplest meal, a bowl of rice, a piece of fruit, can become medicine when consumed with awareness and breath. Sometimes, people resist mindful eating because they feel it is too slow or impractical. But it is not about perfection. It is about moments. Even a few bites chewed with awareness, even a sip of water felt fully, brings benefit. Like drops of rain nourishing the earth, small, consistent practice nourishes the body, mind, and heart. I once met a man who had long struggled with overeating. He felt guilt and shame after every meal. We began with awareness, simply observing his hunger, his cravings, and his satiety. Slowly, without force or judgment, he learned to respond to the body's signals. He discovered that when he ate with attention, he needed less food to feel satisfied. His body healed, his mind healed, and for the first time in years, his heart felt light after a meal. Food also carries emotional energy. When we eat in haste or anger, the tension from the mind enters the body with the food. When we eat in joy, in calm, in gratitude, the energy flows differently, nourishing the body rather than burdening it. Mindful eating allows us to transform ordinary meals into moments of gentle healing, where body and mind are aligned and the heart feels at ease. Even when sharing meals with others, mindfulness can change the experience. Listening to the sounds, noticing colors, savoring textures, and feeling the connection with those around us transforms a simple act into a shared meditation. The body relaxes, digestion improves, and the heart experiences subtle joy. Meals become more than sustenance. They become medicine for the soul. I often tell my students that eating is an opportunity to practice patience, to chew slowly, to pause between bites, to notice fullness, to breathe and reflect. These small acts cultivate self-respect and inner calm. In a world that encourages rushing and distraction, mindful eating becomes a small sanctuary of presence. Sometimes, I guide people to visualize the food entering their body, nourishing cells, calming tension, and revitalizing organs. This is not imagination. It is the body responding to awareness. The mind's attention acts as a gentle conductor, orchestrating balance and healing throughout the entire system. Even a simple cup of tea, sipped slowly, becomes a ritual of care when approached with presence. I remember a young mother exhausted from caring for her children. She rarely had time to eat slowly, yet I encouraged her to take just a few minutes to notice each bite. She discovered that even brief mindful meals restored her energy, calmed her mind, and softened the constant tension in her shoulders. The act of mindful eating became a small, quiet act of self-compassion, reminding her that she too deserved care. Even indulgent foods, often labeled as bad, carry potential for mindfulness. When eaten with awareness, A sweet dessert can be savored, appreciated, and enjoyed without guilt. The mind is free, the body satisfied, and the heart content. It is not the food itself, but the attention and attitude that transform the act into medicine. The body also communicates through sensations: hunger, fullness, texture, temperature. These are messages, subtle signals from the body's wisdom. Mindful eating teaches us to listen, to respond gently, to honor the body's needs. Over time, this listening cultivates trust between mind and body, a trust that supports healing in ways external remedies cannot replicate. I once guided an elderly man with chronic fatigue. He had lost awareness of his own body's signals and ate mechanically. We practiced slow, attentive meals. He began to notice how different foods affected his energy, how chewing fully improved digestion, and how pausing restored calm. Gradually, his vitality returned, not through supplements, but through simple awareness and respect for the act of nourishment. Even the way we prepare food can be part of healing. Cooking with presence, noticing colors, textures, smells, and even the intention behind the preparation transforms ordinary meals into rituals of care. The act itself becomes meditative, and the food carries that gentle energy into the body. My dear friend, remember this. Food is not merely fuel. It is an opportunity, every day, to practice awareness, gratitude, and compassion. Each meal becomes a chance to heal, to nourish, and to connect with life more fully. The way we eat touches the body, mind, and heart simultaneously. Mindful eating, when practiced consistently, becomes one of the most subtle, profound medicines we can offer ourselves. Even in the chaos of life, we can find moments to eat with awareness. A single mindful bite, a conscious swallow, a pause to breathe and feel the body's response. These small moments accumulate into profound transformation. Food becomes more than sustenance. It becomes medicine, meditation, and a pathway to self-healing, all in one simple, ordinary act. The healing power of nature. My dear friend, today let us wander together into a place that has always been generous, gentle, and patient. The natural world. Have you ever noticed how your heart feels lighter when you walk under trees, hear the wind rustle through leaves, or watch the sun glimmer on a quiet pond? Many people overlook this, thinking healing is only found in medicines or complex rituals. Yet nature, in its simplicity and quiet presence, carries a profound medicine for the body, mind, and spirit. When I was young, I struggled with tension and worry. My thoughts constantly spun like restless birds, never settling. One afternoon, my teacher suggested we walk silently along a forest path. At first, I did not understand. How could walking in a forest heal anxiety or fatigue? But as we moved slowly, feeling the earth beneath our feet, hearing the rhythm of the leaves, and noticing the cool breeze on the skin, a subtle transformation occurred. My chest loosened, my thoughts calmed, and I felt a gentle warmth spread through my body. Nature, when observed with presence, becomes a silent healer. The first step to receiving this medicine is attention. Too often, we hurry through life, eyes fixed on screens, minds tangled with worries, hearts carrying burdens. But when we pause, even briefly, and notice a flower, a bird, or the movement of clouds, we begin to breathe differently. The body responds, relaxing muscles that were unknowingly tense. The heart softens. The mind finds a quiet rhythm, echoing the stillness that exists in the natural world. I remember a young woman who came to me exhausted by life's demands. Her body ached, her mind raced, and she could not sleep. I suggested she spend time each day in nature, even if only a few minutes sitting under a tree or listening to water. She was skeptical at first, but gradually, she began to notice her body breathing more freely, her heart feeling lighter, and her thoughts slowing just enough to allow peace to enter. It was not the environment alone. It was her mindful presence within it that unlocked the healing. Nature has a rhythm that mirrors life itself. The rising and setting of the sun, the ebb and flow of rivers, the gentle sway of branches. They teach patience, resilience, and acceptance. When we observe these cycles, we learn to mirror them within ourselves. The heart learns to rise and fall naturally with ease. The mind learns that everything changes, and the body releases tension that it had held in resistance. There is a kind of medicine in the sense of nature. The earth after rain, flowers blooming, the salty air near the sea. These scents carry subtle messages that the body recognizes, relaxing the nervous system and bringing calm. Even the sound of rustling leaves or gentle rainfall can slow the breath, release tension, and awaken a sense of deep presence. Nature speaks in a language older than words, a language that our bodies remember if we simply listen. I often teach my students to touch the earth with awareness. Feel the grass beneath your feet, run your fingers along the bark of a tree, or let your palms rest on smooth stones. These simple gestures awaken the senses, connect you to the present moment, and remind you that you are part of a larger living world. This connection itself is a form of medicine. It restores balance, fosters calm, and nurtures resilience in ways that no external remedy can replicate. Sometimes, illness or fatigue feels like a heavy cloud pressing upon the body. In those moments, simply sitting by a stream, watching water flow, or walking barefoot on soft soil can shift the internal energy. The body responds to the subtle vibrations of nature, the gentle sway of water, the whisper of wind, absorbing calm, releasing tension, and reawakening vitality. Even the smallest exposure, when experienced with presence, carries profound benefit. I once guided an elder who had suffered chronic pain for many years. Medications gave temporary relief, but his spirit was weary. I suggested he spend time observing the sky, the trees, and the animals. At first, he thought it irrelevant, yet he agreed. Slowly, over weeks, he reported less stiffness, more energy, and a surprising lightness in his heart. The act of being present in nature had allowed his body to release stored tension and his mind to rest. Healing does not always require force. It often requires gentle attention and a willing heart. Nature also teaches impermanence, a key lesson for inner healing. Leaves fall, rivers change course, seasons shift. Our bodies, emotions, and thoughts follow similar patterns. By observing these natural cycles, we cultivate patience with ourselves. We learn to release what is no longer useful, to accept change, and to flow with life rather than resist it. The heart becomes lighter, the mind calmer, and the body more relaxed. Even urban environments carry fragments of this medicine. A small park, a tree-lined street, or sunlight streaming through a window can provide a moment of connection. It is not the quantity of nature, but the quality of attention we bring. A few minutes of mindful observation, a breath taken with awareness, a gentle touch on a leaf or flower. These small acts accumulate into a profound practice of healing. I often encourage people to notice the sky. Its vastness reminds us that our worries, while real, are small in the larger scope of existence. Watching clouds drift, birds glide, or stars twinkle instills a subtle sense of awe, a gentle humility, and a quiet relief. The mind, once trapped in cycles of stress, finds perspective, and the body responds with relaxation and ease. The healing power of nature is also social. When shared with friends, family, or community, Moments in nature create bonds, laughter, and shared calm. Walking together through a garden, sitting quietly by a river, or observing wildlife can foster connection, which in itself supports healing. The heart opens, the mind softens, and even the body benefits from the subtle joy of presence shared. I remember teaching a group of children to notice the small wonders around them. A ladybug on a leaf, the shimmer of sunlight, the movement of clouds. Their laughter, curiosity, and wonder were contagious. Even adults nearby found their tension dissolving. Healing does not always require complexity. It sometimes requires simply noticing, simply being, and allowing ourselves to be part of life's larger rhythm. Breathing in nature's presence is also medicine. The fresh air, the gentle movement of leaves, and the sounds of water help regulate the nervous system. When the mind is restless, inhaling with awareness while observing nature slows heart rate, softens muscles, and encourages the mind to settle. This practice is subtle yet profoundly effective, nurturing resilience, clarity, and inner calm. Sometimes, we resist nature's healing because we are distracted, busy, or uncomfortable with stillness. Yet even a small step, a few minutes in sunlight, a mindful gaze at a tree, or listening to birdsong, can begin to shift energy. The body, mind, and heart respond naturally, without effort. Healing unfolds not through force, but through gentle, consistent presence. I have seen people transform over months of simple nature practice. Tension held in shoulders, tightness in the chest, and mental fatigue slowly dissolve. The heart softens, empathy increases, and clarity emerges. Even those who had been resistant at first find themselves drawn back, again and again, to the quiet medicine of the natural world. Nature also reminds us of simplicity. Healing does not always require complicated steps, expensive remedies, or external validation. Often, it requires only noticing the breeze, the warmth of the sun, the sound of a flowing stream. This simplicity itself carries a profound teaching, that our bodies and minds are equipped to respond to gentle, loving presence, that wellness is often available in small, ordinary moments. Even when life feels overwhelming, stepping outside, breathing with awareness, and observing the living world can provide a grounding shift. The body responds with calm, the mind gains clarity, and the heart feels supported by something larger than itself. Nature holds space for us, patiently and generously, without demand or expectation. My dear friend, remember that healing is not always about intervention or action. Sometimes, it is about returning to the simple, patient rhythms of life, returning to presence, returning to the natural world that surrounds and nurtures us. The earth, the sky, the trees, the water, they are always here, offering quiet medicine to any who are willing to notice, to breathe, and to allow themselves to receive. Even the smallest engagement, touching a leaf, listening to a bird, or observing sunlight filtering through branches, can ripple through the body, mind, and heart, releasing tension, restoring calm, and awakening vitality. Nature is the silent teacher, the patient healer, and the ever-present companion in our journey toward wellness. The more we return to this awareness, the more we begin to see that healing is not something outside us. It is woven into every breath, every step, every sensation, and every moment of mindful presence. Nature simply holds up a mirror, inviting us to notice, to breathe, and to allow the quiet medicine of life to enter fully into our being. Breath as medicine, awakening life within. My dear friend, today I wish to speak about something we often take for granted, yet it is the very thread that weaves life through every cell of our being. The breath. Have you ever stopped and truly noticed your breathing? Not just when you are tired, anxious, or in a hurry, but really observe the natural rhythm flowing in and out. Like waves meeting the shore? Many people breathe shallowly, distracted, or hurriedly, as if the air itself is merely something to fill the lungs and move on. But when you begin to breathe with awareness, the simplest, most ordinary act transforms into medicine. It is free, always available, and profoundly healing if we only allow ourselves to notice. I remember a student who arrived one morning carrying tension, as if it were a heavy cloak draped across his shoulders. His steps were hurried, his eyes darting, and his chest tight with worry. I asked him to sit, close his eyes, and follow the flow of his breath, not trying to change it, only noticing. At first he fidgeted, grew impatient, and thought it silly. But as moments passed, a subtle release began. Each exhale seemed to carry away a fraction of the tightness. Each inhale invited a little more calm. Slowly, he realized that the breath is not just air. It is a bridge between body and mind, a conduit for healing energy, and a gentle reminder that life continues with patience and grace. Breathing consciously allows the body to soften in ways that nothing else can. When we are stressed, our bodies constrict, muscles tighten, digestion slows, and tension nests in the chest and shoulders. A few deep, mindful breaths, attended to with gentle awareness, can undo these habitual knots. You see, the breath responds not only to the lungs, but to the heart and mind as well. When attention follows its natural rhythm, the nervous system begins to relax, circulation improves, and subtle tensions, carried for years, gradually dissolve. There is a story of an elder monk who would begin each day sitting quietly, observing his breath as the first act of mindfulness. He said, "The breath is the quiet river that carries away the turbulence of the mind. It is the medicine that asks nothing in return but presence." Those words became a living practice for his disciples. They learned that in every inhale, there is life. In every exhale, there is release. And when both are observed together, the body, mind, and spirit come into gentle harmony. Sometimes, people resist conscious breathing because it seems too simple. They search for complex rituals, medicines, or distractions, thinking that true healing must be complicated. Yet it is in the simplicity of the breath that the body remembers its natural state of ease. Each inhalation brings nourishment to every cell. Each exhalation releases what is stale, what is heavy, and what no longer serves. The mind, which often clings to fear or regret, finds a soft place to rest in the rhythm of the air moving in and out. I once guided a young woman who suffered from chronic anxiety. Her chest tightened with worry, her thoughts spun endlessly, and she felt trapped in her own mind. We began simply, placing attention on the rise and fall of her abdomen with each breath. At first, she laughed at how little this seemed to do, but over weeks, she noticed her panic subsiding, her body releasing tension more readily, and her heart feeling lighter. It was not a dramatic transformation, but a quiet, cumulative healing, the kind that lasts. Breath is medicine not only because it calms, but because it connects us to the present moment. When the mind races ahead into worry or clings to regret, the breath is always here, a gentle reminder that life unfolds moment by moment. By returning to this simple, natural rhythm, we anchor ourselves in what is alive, letting go of what is imagined or feared. In this presence, the body begins to repair, the mind finds clarity, and the heart softens. I often teach people to visualize the path of the breath. Imagine it traveling like a gentle stream through the body, reaching each organ, each muscle, each thought. With every inhale, imagine nourishment flowing in, energy being replenished. With every exhale, imagine release, tension leaving the body, worries dissipating. This visualization is not magic. It is a bridge between awareness and biology, a way to enlist the body's natural capacity to heal itself. Breath also carries subtle emotional medicine. When we are angry, the chest constricts and the mind becomes narrow. When we are fearful, the lungs tighten and the heart beats fast. Simply noticing the breath in these moments, without judgment, can soften the emotional intensity. The body learns that it is safe, that tension does not need to be carried forever, and the heart begins to feel lighter. There is a profound story of a man who lived with chronic fatigue. He had tried every remedy, every supplement, every therapy, yet still felt drained. One morning, he sat with me, skeptical, and we began with nothing but his own breath. I asked him to notice it, to feel it, to allow it to move naturally. Hours passed as he observed, sometimes gently shifting, sometimes simply sitting. Slowly, he reported warmth returning to his limbs, clarity in his thoughts, and a lightness in his chest he had not felt in years. The simplest act, done with awareness, became the most powerful medicine he had ever known. Even when illness has weighed heavily, the breath remains an available friend. It cannot be taken from us. It asks nothing, and yet it gives endlessly. Each inhalation brings life and energy. Each exhalation carries away what is no longer needed. With patience and gentle attention, we can harness this medicine in ways that no external remedy can replicate. I often ask my students to notice the pauses between breaths, the spaces that appear naturally, the silent moments before the next inhale. These spaces are profound, a gentle invitation to rest, to let go, and to simply be. Within these pauses, the body repairs itself, the mind settles, and the heart feels relief. We forget too often that healing is not always in action, but in presence, in noticing, and in allowing what is already happening within us to unfold. Breath is also deeply social. When shared in presence with others, even silently, it harmonizes energy, softens tension, and fosters connection. Sitting together, noticing the rhythm of each other's inhalations and exhalations, creates a quiet, subtle support that encourages healing in ways words cannot express. The heart opens, the mind softens, and the body responds naturally. Even in chaotic moments, the breath offers sanctuary. Traffic, noise, obligations, worries. All of these cannot touch the simplicity of air moving in and out of your lungs. Pausing, even for a few mindful breaths, allows the nervous system to reset, the mind to clear, and the body to release tension it was holding unconsciously. This is medicine without cost, without side effects, and always available. I remember teaching a young mother, exhausted from sleepless nights and constant care for her children, to simply place her attention on her own breath. At first, she felt guilty, thinking she had no time for herself. But slowly, she noticed that even moments of conscious breathing restored her energy, softened tension in her shoulders, and allowed her heart to feel lighter. This simple act became a sanctuary, a gentle medicine for body, mind, and spirit alike. The breath also teaches balance. When hurried or shallow, the body and mind become tense, reactive, and unstable. When slow, deep, and mindful, the body relaxes, the mind clarifies, and the heart softens. Practicing this balance with awareness trains the entire being to respond gracefully to the demands of life. Even the act of breathing in gratitude transforms its medicine. When we inhale with attention and silently offer thanks, for the air, for life, for the body, we awaken subtle joy within the body. Gratitude carried with the breath relaxes muscles, softens the heart, and enhances the flow of energy throughout the system. My dear friend, remember that this simple, ordinary act, breathing, is the most intimate, consistent, and profound medicine available to you at every moment. Each inhale brings nourishment. Each exhale releases tension. Each pause creates space for restoration, clarity, and calm. Practiced with awareness, patience, and gentleness, the breath awakens life, heals silently, and nurtures a deep connection with the self that no external remedy can replicate. Even in the busiest days, in the most restless moments, returning to the breath is always possible. It asks nothing, gives endlessly, and invites the body, mind, and heart into a gentle dance of healing and presence. The rhythm of life itself is in the breath, and when we notice, honor, and allow it, the medicine it carries flows through us naturally, quietly, and completely. Mindful eating, nourishing body and soul. Ah, my dear friend, today let us speak about something that touches every moment of our daily life. Yet so many of us overlook its profound power. Eating. Yes, simply eating. Have you ever thought about how often you rush through a meal, your mind elsewhere, worrying about what is next, scrolling through messages, or planning tomorrow's tasks? We eat so quickly, distracted, almost like we are trying to get it over with. But eating, when done with gentle awareness, becomes a quiet medicine, a balm not only for the body but for the mind and heart as well. I remember a student who came to me, complaining of constant fatigue, bloating, and unease. He had tried everything, vitamins, diets, exercise, but nothing seemed to work. One morning, I asked him simply, "How do you eat your food?" He looked at me puzzled and said, "I eat whenever I am hungry, quickly while working." I smiled softly and told him, "Then let us begin by noticing your eating." We sat together with a simple bowl of rice and vegetables. I encouraged him to look, smell, and feel each bite, to chew slowly, to notice the textures and flavors, to be present with every moment of nourishment. At first he laughed, unsure how this could change anything. But as days passed, he discovered a subtle shift. Meals became a time of peace. The body felt lighter, digestion improved, and a gentle joy arose simply from being present with food. Eating mindfully reconnects us with the body's intelligence. We often ignore the signals of hunger and fullness, or the whispers of our own comfort and aversion. Food is more than calories. It is energy, medicine, and connection. When we slow down, take each bite with awareness, we notice how the body responds, how it receives nourishment, how it signals contentment, and how it releases tension when fed gently. Each bite becomes an act of intimacy with ourselves, a dialogue between the body, mind, and spirit. There is a story of an elder monk who would eat each meal in complete silence, paying careful attention to the journey of the food from hand to mouth, noticing the warmth, texture, and flavor, and giving thanks for the hands that prepared it and the earth that nurtured it. He would say, "Every meal is a moment to heal, to honor the body, and to awaken gratitude." His disciples learned that eating need not be hurried or mindless. They discovered that the act itself carries medicine, subtle yet profound, when performed with awareness. Sometimes, we resist this practice because it seems too simple. We think healing must be complicated, requiring medicines, therapies, or rituals. But the simplest acts, when performed with presence, carry the deepest transformation. A single mindful meal can begin to shift patterns that years of neglect have created. The mind learns patience, the body receives nourishment more fully, and the heart softens, recognizing that even ordinary acts can be sacred. I recall a young woman who struggled with digestive issues and constant stress. She believed healing would require expensive supplements or strict diets. But I asked her to try simply eating with awareness, noticing textures, flavors, and each chew. At first, she was skeptical, expecting no change. But slowly, she felt a lightness in her stomach, a calmness in her mind, and a subtle joy that arose from honoring herself with each bite. Healing often begins not in grand gestures, but in tiny, repeated moments of awareness. Mindful eating also teaches us gratitude. When we pause, notice, and savor, we remember that food is not simply taken for granted. Each ingredient, each dish, carries the effort of many hands: the farmer, the cook, the earth itself. Awareness awakens appreciation, and appreciation softens the heart. Gratitude is a subtle medicine, flowing quietly through the body, reducing tension, lifting spirits, and nurturing resilience. Even the act of chewing slowly has profound effects. It signals the body that it is safe, encourages proper digestion, and allows the mind to settle. In the quiet space of mindful chewing, the body begins to repair, the mind grows calm, and the heart feels content. Eating transforms from a task into a sacred practice, nourishing both body and soul. I often guide my students to notice not only the food but the way they eat it. Do they rush, swallow quickly, and look away, distracted by the world? Or do they pause, notice the colors, the textures, the smells, and even the temperature of each bite? Each moment of awareness is a chance to slow down, to reconnect, and to invite healing energy into the body. Eating in silence can also reveal patterns of thought and emotion. Perhaps we eat when anxious, lonely, or bored. By noticing these tendencies without judgment, we create awareness, the first step toward transformation. The body learns to receive nourishment with clarity. The mind recognizes its own tendencies, and the heart grows tender toward itself. The food we choose is also part of this practice. Choosing natural, wholesome foods, when done with awareness, encourages the body to function optimally. But the deeper practice lies not merely in the type of food, but in the attention we bring. Awareness transforms even simple meals into medicine, healing the mind's rush, the body's tension, and the heart's restlessness. I remember a student who struggled with overeating. She believed discipline alone would cure her. But I invited her to notice each bite, to feel the sensations of fullness, to breathe and pause between bites. Slowly, she began to respond to her body's natural signals, learning that the body, when attended to with respect, knows how to restore balance. Mindful eating is also a practice in presence. It teaches patience, appreciation, and connection. We realize that life unfolds moment by moment, and even the act of eating is an opportunity to awaken to the richness of each instant. Healing begins not in grand gestures, but in these small, tender attentions. Even the simplest meals, when eaten mindfully, carry deep nourishment. A bowl of rice, a few vegetables, a sip of water. When received with full awareness, these ordinary acts become extraordinary. They invite the body to relax, the mind to settle, and the heart to open. The practice also reminds us that healing is holistic. It is not simply what we eat, but how we eat, and how present we are with ourselves during every bite. By paying attention, we honor the wisdom of the body, allowing it to restore, repair, and thrive naturally. Even in busy lives, moments of mindful eating are possible. Pausing for a few bites, noticing flavors and sensations, is enough to begin the gentle restoration of balance. It is a reminder that medicine is often found in the ordinary, when attended to with care and presence. I often tell students that every meal is a chance to return to themselves. When eaten with mindfulness, each bite nourishes the body, settles the mind, and softens the heart. This simple act, repeated with attention, is one of the most profound and accessible paths to healing. Mindful eating also fosters connection with others. Sharing a meal in presence, Noticing the subtle rhythms of each person's eating brings a quiet harmony. It teaches patience, gentleness, and appreciation for life's sustenance. The energy of mindfulness flows between hearts, creating healing that words cannot convey. Even when life is chaotic, mindful eating offers a sanctuary. The simple act of noticing, chewing, and savoring creates space for healing, reflection, and restoration. It reminds us that the body and mind can be nourished from the ordinary when approached with presence and care. Finally, my dear friend, remember that every meal is a moment of medicine. Each bite, chewed slowly, noticed fully, and received with gratitude, carries the power to heal. The body softens, the mind calms, and the heart opens. Through mindful eating, we learn patience, awareness, and the subtle art of nurturing ourselves completely. And as a gentle reminder, there are so many who view this channel, yet only a small fraction take the step to embrace its teachings fully. So I invite you, with care and sincerity, to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel Wisdom Woven. By doing so, you help this wisdom ripple outward, touching more hearts and guiding more souls toward gentle, natural healing. The breath of life. Healing through awareness. Ah, my dear friend, let us sit together for a moment and talk about something so simple, yet so profound, that it often slips by unnoticed: the breath. Have you ever really noticed your breathing? Not in a hurry, not when stressed or distracted, but truly felt it, as if it is the very river that carries your life from moment to moment? Most people take breath for granted, rushing through life, unaware that each inhalation and exhalation is a bridge between body, mind, and spirit, a natural medicine always available, yet so rarely embraced. I remember a young man who came to me with constant tension in his shoulders, headaches that lingered, and a heart heavy with worry. He had tried medicines, therapies, and even yoga classes, but nothing brought lasting relief. One quiet morning, I asked him simply, "Have you ever just noticed your breath, watched it flow in and out without trying to change it?" He shook his head. I invited him to sit and feel, to let each inhale fill the body gently, to notice the pause before the exhale, to let the out-breath carry away tension and worry. At first he struggled, thinking it too simple to matter, but slowly, day by day, a subtle calm began to settle, like sunlight creeping gently across a darkened room. Breathing, my friend, is a conversation with life itself. It carries messages we often ignore. When we rush, our breath shortens, tightens, and constricts the body, the mind, and even the heart. When we breathe with awareness, each inhale invites nourishment. Each exhale releases what no longer serves. This is a medicine that costs nothing, yet heals deeply, if only we attend to it with care and gentleness. I once observed an elder monk sitting under a great tree, his eyes closed, not moving a muscle except for the subtle rise and fall of his chest. He had no fancy tools, no complex rituals, yet his presence radiated health, calm, and completeness. I asked him, "What is your secret?" He smiled softly and said, "I follow my breath. In and out. I am here. When I am present with this simple rhythm, my body rests, my mind settles, and my heart finds ease." Many people believe healing is complicated, requiring formulas, treatments, or extensive routines. But I tell you, the breath is always available, always ready to guide you, always present. Each inhalation is an invitation to life. Each exhalation a release of fear, tension, and doubt. Even when the mind races or the heart aches, the breath remains a gentle anchor, drawing you home to your own body and your own presence. I remember teaching a group of students who were anxious about their lives, each carrying invisible burdens. I asked them to notice their breath as they sat together in silence. Slowly, they realized that with each out-breath, the weight they carried lightened, not immediately, but just enough to notice a softening inside. The mind that had been a storm of worry began to still. The body that had been rigid began to loosen, and the heart that had been tight began to open, even if just a little. Breathing mindfully is not merely about relaxation. It is about awareness. It teaches us to return to the present, to notice life as it is, without needing to fix, judge, or escape. Many ailments arise from tension, stress, and unconscious habits, and yet, by attending to the breath, we give the body a signal to heal itself, to restore balance, and to reconnect with its natural rhythm. I have seen students with chronic pain, who had lived with discomfort for years, transform simply by learning to breathe with awareness. They did not need elaborate practices or complicated techniques. Just sitting, feeling the air enter and leave, noticing how it moves through the body, and allowing themselves to soften into that flow, began to dissolve rigidity, anxiety, and fatigue. The breath is also a mirror of the mind. Notice when you are anxious. The breath is shallow, hurried, and fragmented. Notice when you are calm. The breath is steady, gentle, and flowing. By observing this simple rhythm, we learn about ourselves. We learn that the body, mind, and heart are intimately connected, and that nurturing one nurtures all. There is a subtle power in the pauses, the tiny moments between inhalation and exhalation. In those spaces, we find stillness, a moment to rest, to listen, and to sense life itself. It is in the pauses that healing often begins, silently, quietly, without effort, yet profoundly transforming the entire being. I recall a woman who suffered from insomnia. She tossed and turned each night, fearing restlessness. I guided her to focus on her breath, noticing the natural rhythm without trying to control it. At first she struggled, but gradually, the simple act of watching the breath allowed her mind to soften, her body to relax, and sleep to arrive naturally. What she discovered was that the body already knows how to heal, how to restore balance, if only we allow it by being present. Breathing with awareness also teaches patience and compassion. When we notice our inhalations and exhalations, we notice the subtle currents of tension and discomfort without judgment. We learn to hold ourselves gently, to accept the imperfection of the moment, and to offer care to the body and mind. Healing is not a race. It is a gentle unfolding, a conversation with life that requires tenderness, attention, and time. Even when life becomes chaotic, the breath remains a sanctuary. A single mindful inhalation can bring a sense of grounding. A single conscious exhalation can release fear, stress, and doubt. Each breath is a reminder that the present moment is always accessible, always alive, and always a source of medicine for the body, mind, and heart. There is a story of a traveler who wandered for days, exhausted and burdened, seeking relief from fatigue and worry. He met an elder who simply asked him, "Have you forgotten your breath?" The traveler laughed, thinking it too simple. But when he paused and followed the gentle rhythm of inhaling and exhaling, he felt a wave of calm and clarity wash over him. No medicine, no ritual, just the awareness of his own breathing, bringing relief, balance, and presence. Breathing is also deeply connected to emotional healing. When sorrow or grief arises, the body often tenses and the mind resists. By focusing on the breath, we offer space for emotions to flow, to be acknowledged, and to transform. Inhaling allows acceptance, exhaling allows release. Over time, this simple practice softens the heart, lifts burdens, and invites a quiet joy that is not dependent on circumstances. Even in times of physical illness, Mindful breathing can support the body's natural healing. It encourages circulation, oxygenation, and relaxation. It signals to the nervous system that it is safe, that tension can be released, and that balance can return. The breath is medicine that is always with us, free, natural, and profoundly effective when attended to with awareness. I often teach that the breath is not something separate from life. It is life itself, flowing in and out, moment by moment. By returning to it, we return to ourselves. We learn to notice the subtleties of the body, the rhythms of the mind, and the quiet whispers of the heart. Healing, then, is not a distant goal. It is already here, in the very act of noticing, accepting, and being with each breath. Even the simplest practice of counting breaths, or noticing the feeling of air entering and leaving the nostrils, brings a profound sense of connection. It reminds us that life is present in every instant, and that by being present with life, we invite healing, balance, and clarity naturally. The breath is also a bridge to compassion. When we notice our own breath, we become aware of the interconnectedness of all beings. Just as we inhale and exhale, so does the world breathe around us. Awareness of this rhythm awakens a sense of unity, care, and gentle kindness toward ourselves and others. Even in moments of fear or anxiety, the breath provides a refuge. We may not control the events of life, but we can always return to the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation, and in doing so, restore calm, clarity, and a sense of safety within ourselves. Ah, my friend, the breath is a quiet, constant companion, always ready to guide, heal, and comfort. By returning to it with awareness, we find medicine in simplicity, healing in presence, and peace in the ordinary rhythm of life. Mindful eating, nourishing the body and soul. Ah, my dear friend, today let us talk about something so ordinary, yet so magical, that it often passes unnoticed in our busy lives. Food, the very act of eating, and how it can become a path to healing. Have you ever sat with a simple meal, perhaps a bowl of rice or a piece of fruit, and truly noticed it? I mean, really noticed it. The colors, the smell, the texture, and even the feeling it brings to your body. Many people eat hurriedly, distracted by their phones, worries, or the endless tasks of the day. And in doing so, they miss the nourishment that is already present, the medicine that comes in every bite when attended to with awareness. I recall a young woman who came to me complaining of constant fatigue, bloating, and headaches. She had tried different diets, herbal supplements, and even detox routines, yet nothing seemed to work. One afternoon, I asked her, "Do you really notice what you eat, how you eat, and how it makes you feel?" She laughed softly, thinking it too simple, but agreed to try. We sat together with a bowl of simple soup. I invited her to take a spoonful, pause, feel the warmth, notice the taste, and imagine it spreading through her body, carrying nourishment. At first, she struggled to slow down, but soon a quiet awareness emerged. With every mindful bite, she began to feel a gentle connection with her body, as if the act of eating itself was healing, not just the food. Eating mindfully is like listening to your body's whispers. Often illness, tension, and fatigue arise not just from what we eat, but how we eat. When we eat in a rush, with worry or distraction, the body cannot fully digest or absorb nutrients. The mind is elsewhere, the heart preoccupied, and the body, though receiving food, misses the medicine it offers. When we eat with attention, every bite becomes a conversation, every meal a ritual of self-care. I remember a monk who lived many years in solitude, sustaining himself on simple vegetables and rice. He never complained of illness, never spoke of fatigue. One day, I asked him, "How do you stay so healthy with such simple meals?" He smiled gently and said, I chew slowly. I taste. I feel. I give thanks. The food becomes more than food. It becomes life flowing into me, nourishing me in ways I cannot see but can feel. In that simplicity, there is wisdom, a reminder that healing is often in what is closest to us, waiting to be noticed. We must learn to observe how our food affects our body and mind. Does it make you feel light or heavy, calm or restless, energized or lethargic? Many of us ignore these signals, eating for convenience, taste, or habit. Yet the body speaks in subtle ways. A mindful eater listens, adjusts, and honors the signals. In doing so, healing arises naturally. I once guided a group of students through a mindful eating exercise. We took a single raisin, and I asked them to observe it with the eyes of a child seeing it for the first time. The skin, the tiny folds, the texture, the aroma. We held it, turned it, and slowly placed it in the mouth, noticing every sensation. By the end, even this tiny act created a profound sense of presence, a deep calm, and an awareness that each bite is a chance to heal, to nourish, and to connect with life. Food is not merely sustenance for the body. It is a teacher. It teaches patience when we chew slowly, gratitude when we recognize its journey from earth to plate, and presence when we notice each bite. Often, what we think of as a cure through supplements or medicines can be enhanced, or even replaced, by the simple act of eating mindfully. I have seen people who struggled with digestive issues, anxiety, or low energy transform simply by learning to eat attentively. The change does not happen overnight, but gradually, as the body receives nourishment with awareness, as the mind slows, as the heart softens. Food becomes medicine, not because of any magical ingredient, but because of the attention, care, and presence brought to it. Even in our modern lives, when meals are rushed and distractions abound, the practice remains available. A cup of tea, a piece of bread, a few vegetables. Each can be an opportunity to practice awareness, to connect with the body, to honor life. When we eat with care, we honor the earth, the farmer, the cooks, and most importantly ourselves. The act of chewing slowly, noticing flavors, feeling textures, and being present also connects us to our emotions. We often eat unconsciously when anxious, bored, or upset, which can create discomfort and imbalance. By observing the breath before, during, and after meals, by noticing hunger and fullness, and by eating with gratitude, we begin to restore balance. We learn to respond rather than react, to nourish rather than distract, and to heal through simple, natural rhythms. I remember a man who came to me with chronic indigestion. He was frustrated, feeling that nothing could help. I asked him to eat a small meal with full awareness, to notice each bite, each sensation, each swallow. At first, he was impatient, but gradually he began to slow down, feel the warmth, taste the flavors, and notice how the food moved within him. Over weeks, he experienced relief and even joy in the simple act of eating. A reminder that the body already knows how to heal, if only we listen. Eating with awareness also fosters gratitude. Each bite, each meal, is a gift from the soil, the sun, the water, and the hands that prepared it. Gratitude nourishes the heart, reduces stress, and enhances the absorption of nutrients. When the heart is grateful, the body relaxes, the mind softens, and healing becomes possible without medicine. Even when life feels hectic, a mindful approach to meals can create a sanctuary. Pausing, breathing, observing, tasting. These simple steps reconnect us to our body's wisdom. We may not control the world, but we can honor the nourishment that sustains us. Healing is not in force or struggle, but in gentle presence, awareness, and care. The body often speaks through subtle signals, cravings, discomfort, energy levels. And mindful eating teaches us to listen. We learn what supports us, what hinders us, and how to adjust without harshness or judgment. Over time, this awareness becomes a path to self-healing, resilience, and harmony. I once saw a child eat a small piece of fruit with total attention, discovering sweetness, texture, and fragrance as if for the first time. In that simple act, there was presence, wonder, and health. Adults, too, can reclaim this wisdom, realizing that the medicine we seek outside often exists within when we eat with care and awareness. Even the act of cooking can be part of healing. When preparing food, bring attention, love, and patience. Notice the colors, the smells, the textures. Allow your energy to infuse the meal. Eating food prepared in such awareness carries not only nutrients, but also warmth, presence, and life force. Subtle medicines that nourish body, mind, and heart simultaneously. Mindful eating is not about perfection, restrictions, or rules. It is about noticing, slowing down, feeling, and appreciating. It is about returning to the body, honoring its wisdom, and allowing healing to unfold naturally. Even a few mindful bites in a day can transform your relationship with food and with yourself. Ah, my friend, in the rhythm of chewing, tasting, swallowing, and pausing, there is an invitation to live fully, to nourish deeply, and to heal naturally. Each meal, no matter how simple, is a chance to reconnect with life, to bring attention to the present, and to allow the body to receive the care it has always known but often forgotten. Breath as medicine. Finding healing in every inhale. Ah, my dear friend, today let us turn our attention to something so simple, so ordinary, that it often slips by unnoticed, yet it carries the power to heal the body, the mind, and even the heart. I am speaking of the breath. Your breath, my breath, the invisible rhythm that flows through all life. Have you ever noticed how little attention we give to this constant companion? We take it for granted, moving through the day as if it were automatic, forgetting that within each inhale and exhale lies a doorway to calm, to restoration, and to profound healing. I recall a young man who came to me weary, burdened by anxiety and persistent headaches. He had tried medicines, teas, and therapies, yet relief was fleeting. One quiet morning, I asked him simply, "Can you just sit, close your eyes, and notice your breath?" He looked puzzled, thinking it too simple, perhaps even foolish. But slowly, as he began to pay attention, as he felt the rise and fall of his chest, the coolness entering his nostrils, the warmth leaving, something shifted. He did not need a doctor's prescription in that moment. He needed awareness, presence, and the medicine already within him. Breath is the thread connecting body and mind. When we are tense, anxious, or fearful, our breath becomes shallow, quick, and fragmented. The body stiffens, the heart races, and the mind becomes a storm. Yet when we slow the breath, when we draw it gently into the belly and release it with care, the body relaxes, the heart softens, and the mind finds clarity. I have seen people with chronic pain and restlessness discover a quiet ease simply by returning to their breath. It is always there, free and waiting, ready to cradle us in its rhythm. I remember a monk who lived many years in the mountains, never complaining of illness. One day, I asked him, "What is your secret?" He smiled and said, "I watch my breath. When the mind is noisy, I return to the breath. When the body is tired, I follow the breath. It heals me in ways nothing else can." In those words, there is wisdom so profound yet so simple. Healing begins with noticing the natural flow of life within. Let us explore this together. Sit comfortably, even if for a few moments. Close your eyes. Feel the air enter your nose, glide through your throat, fill your lungs, and then leave, soft and effortless. Notice the gentle rise of your belly, the subtle movement of your chest. If your mind wanders, that is natural. Simply return to the breath. Do not judge, do not force. The healing happens in gentleness, in awareness, in being present with what is already here. Breath can also carry intention. When you inhale, imagine drawing in calm, warmth, and energy. When you exhale, release tension, pain, and worry. With every cycle, the body receives nourishment, the mind finds rest, and the spirit feels lighter. Many who suffer from insomnia, stress, or chronic pain discover relief simply by returning to this rhythm, practicing patience, and observing the subtle effects over time. I once guided a group of students through a breathing meditation. Some were skeptical, some impatient, some simply tired of seeking cures elsewhere. But as we sat together, synchronizing with the natural flow of breath, a quiet transformation emerged. Faces softened, shoulders relaxed, and even the restless heartbeats seemed to settle into a gentle rhythm. They realized that healing is not always in a pill or a therapy session. It is in the awareness, patience, and kindness we bring to our own breath. Even in the midst of life's chaos, breath remains. In traffic, in line at the market, in a tense meeting, you can return to it. One deep, conscious inhale followed by a slow, complete exhale. Just that can create space, release tension, and invite presence. The body, often overloaded with stress and worry, begins to recover naturally when we grant it this simple attention. The breath also connects us to the heart. When we inhale with awareness, we remind ourselves that life continues, that the body is resilient, and that the mind can find stillness. When we exhale with care, we release what no longer serves us, letting go of fear, doubt, and old patterns of tension. In this simple exchange, there is profound medicine, free, accessible, and always present. I remember a woman who suffered from digestive issues and persistent fatigue. I asked her to practice mindful breathing daily. At first, she doubted it could help, thinking her problems were too complex. But as she sat quietly, observing each inhale and exhale, she began to notice small changes. Less tension in her shoulders, a calmer mind, even a subtle warmth in her belly after meals. Over weeks, she reported feeling lighter, more energized, and more present. The breath became her ally, her medicine, her teacher. Breathing with awareness is also a practice in kindness. Too often we are harsh with ourselves, pushing, forcing, and striving for perfection. But with each breath, we can soften, release judgment, and offer gentle care to our body and mind. This simple compassion nurtures healing in a way that medications sometimes cannot. The beauty of mindful breathing is that it is always with us. You do not need special equipment, a teacher, or a clinic. Sit, stand, or even walk. Pay attention to the rhythm of your breath. Notice its qualities. Is it shallow or deep? Fast or slow? Warm or cool? Simply observing without trying to change it invites the body's natural intelligence to restore balance. Even in chronic conditions, breath can provide comfort. I once guided a man with arthritis through a practice of slow, attentive breathing. With each inhalation, he imagined energy reaching the joints. With each exhalation, he released stiffness and pain. Over time, his perception of pain softened, not because the disease vanished, but because his awareness brought relief, presence, and a sense of agency in his own healing process. Breath is not separate from life. It is life itself, and when we engage with it fully, we discover that the medicine we seek outside is often within. The rhythm of inhaling and exhaling carries oxygen, yes, but also awareness, calm and life force that nourishes every cell, every thought, and every feeling. In our busy, distracted world, returning to the breath can feel almost revolutionary. It requires nothing except a willingness to pause, a willingness to notice, and a willingness to care for oneself. Healing begins in these simple moments of attention, where the body relaxes, the mind clears, and the heart opens. Even when you feel overwhelmed, anxious, or fatigued, you can always return to this practice. One breath, then another, slowly, gently, with patience and kindness. Each inhale brings life. Each exhale releases tension. Over time, these small, quiet moments create profound transformation. The breath teaches us about impermanence, too. Each inhalation and exhalation is fleeting, yet continuous. Life flows through us just as breath flows through the body. Recognizing this, we learn to let go, to release what no longer serves, to trust in the natural rhythm of healing and restoration that is always present. I once guided a child who was restless and fearful. Simply noticing the breath together, taking slow, intentional inhales and exhales, the child began to smile, relax, and even laugh. In that simplicity, I saw the profound truth. The medicine of breath is available to all, young and old, strong and weak, sick or well. It does not discriminate. It heals through awareness, presence, and love. Ah, my friend, the medicine of the breath is free, eternal, and within you always. To inhale deeply with attention, to exhale fully with care, to notice the rhythm and give it space. This simple practice holds the power to restore, to calm, and to heal in ways that often surpass what we seek elsewhere. The gentle art of letting go. Ah, my dear friend, today I wish to speak with you about something so simple, yet so profoundly challenging: the art of letting go. Have you noticed how often we cling to people, to moments, to thoughts, even to pain? We hold on, thinking that if we grasp tightly enough, we will be safe, secure, or perhaps even happy. Yet, in clinging, we often suffer more than we would by simply allowing things to be as they are. Letting go is not about giving up, nor is it about forgetting. It is about understanding that life flows like a river, and when we resist the flow, we create turbulence in our own hearts. I remember a young woman who came to me burdened by loss. She had lost a dear friend, and the grief weighed heavily upon her. She kept replaying every moment, every conversation, wishing she could turn back time. She clutched the memory as if it were a lifeline, and yet it brought her no peace. I told her gently, "Do you feel the weight of holding so tightly? What if instead, you simply let the memory rest, like a leaf floating on a stream?" At first, she resisted, afraid that letting go would mean forgetting or betraying her friend. But slowly, as she practiced this gentle release, she found that her heart could hold both the memory and the present moment, without suffocating in grief. Letting go is like learning to breathe differently. When we hold our breath, tense and rigid, life feels heavy and difficult. But when we exhale, release the tension, and allow the body to soften, we discover space, clarity, and ease. The same is true of the mind. Thoughts, worries, regrets, they all come and go. When we cling, they dominate. When we release, we find peace, not because the thoughts disappear, but because our attachment to them dissolves. I once sat with a man who carried anger for many years. He felt wronged, betrayed, and he nurtured these feelings as if they were treasures. And yet, these treasures were chains, binding him to the past, to pain, to bitterness. I said to him, "Anger is heavy. What if you set it down, even for a moment, and simply feel what remains?" He laughed softly, a laugh full of disbelief and hope. And slowly, over weeks of practice, he discovered that letting go did not mean he was weak or forgotten. It meant he could live again, light and free, without denying the experiences that shaped him. The art of letting go also teaches us about impermanence. Everything in life changes: relationships, circumstances, our own bodies, our thoughts. Clinging to what is fleeting only creates suffering. When we embrace the natural flow, we find that life can be gentle, even when it is painful. I often remind my students, the flower blooms, and one day it wilts. The river flows, and one day it moves to the sea. Our hearts, like these natural elements, must learn the rhythm of coming and going, of opening and releasing. Letting go is not a single act, but a practice, a conversation we have with ourselves each day. It may begin with something small, a fleeting worry, a thought that lingers, a tiny irritation. Notice it, feel it, and then breathe it out, imagining it floating away like mist in the morning sun. Each act of release strengthens the heart's capacity to trust life, to accept what is, and to embrace the present moment fully. I remember a monk in the mountains who had nothing but the clothes on his back and the earth beneath his feet. When asked how he remained so serene despite life's hardships, he smiled and said, "I let go. I let go of expecting, of controlling, of owning. I let go of yesterday, and I welcome today as it comes." His simplicity was his freedom, and his freedom was his joy. Sometimes letting go requires patience, for our attachments run deep. The habit of holding on is like a vine that wraps around the heart. But with gentle attention, with repeated practice, the vine loosens. We may stumble, return to clinging, but each time we remember to release, the heart learns a little more freedom. It is not a failure. It is learning, a tender reminder that the process itself is sacred. Even in difficult situations, letting go can bring relief. A person may struggle with resentment, with regret, with fear of the future. By turning attention inward, by acknowledging these feelings without clinging, and by breathing gently into the heart of the matter, we create space for compassion, understanding, and healing. The heart, once burdened, begins to soften, and life moves with less resistance. Letting go also teaches gratitude. When we release expectations, we begin to notice the beauty in what is present. A smile, a quiet moment, a gentle breeze. These gifts are available only when the heart is not crowded by grasping. The act of release opens our awareness to life's subtle blessings, and in this space, we find joy not dependent on circumstance, but arising naturally from the simplicity of being. I recall guiding a student who feared change, clinging to routine and predictability. Life, however, continued to shift around him, and he suffered because of it. I asked him to practice letting go of small things each day. A thought, a plan, a habit. Slowly, he noticed that the mind became lighter, the heart more open. When life presented inevitable changes, he met them not with panic, but with a calm curiosity, a gentle acceptance. He understood that freedom arises not from controlling the world, but from releasing the need to control it. Even in relationships, letting go is vital. We cannot own another person, nor can we hold them to our expectations. When we release our grasp, we create space for genuine connection, for love that is generous rather than binding. I have witnessed countless hearts lighten when they let go of resentment, jealousy, or neediness, discovering that love thrives most when it is free and untethered. Letting go is also a pathway to forgiveness, not because others always deserve it, but because we deserve peace. Clinging to anger, to regret, to hurt, binds us to suffering. Releasing these feelings allows the heart to heal. It does not erase the past, but it softens its grip, allowing us to walk forward with clarity, with kindness, and with an open heart. Ah, my friend, the art of letting go is gentle yet powerful. It requires awareness, patience, and a willingness to trust life. Each breath, each moment of noticing, is an opportunity to release, to soften, to find freedom in simplicity. You may not feel it immediately, and that is natural. The practice unfolds slowly, like sunlight touching a quiet forest floor, revealing beauty in small, tender ways. Even in the face of loss, disappointment, or fear, letting go can bring solace. It is not giving up on life. It is embracing it fully, with all its uncertainty, all its impermanence, all its fleeting beauty. The heart, once freed from grasping, begins to dance lightly in the rhythm of life, attuned to what is, rather than what we wish it to be. Letting go is also a return to self. In the act of release, we discover the space within ourselves that is always untouched, always whole. The mind can quiet, the body can rest, and the spirit can breathe. We begin to trust our own inner wisdom, our own capacity to meet life with equanimity, compassion, and clarity. I have guided many students through the practice of letting go, and each story is unique, yet all share a common truth. Freedom arises not from acquiring, not from holding tightly, but from releasing. Each act of letting go, no matter how small, creates ripples of calm, lightness, and understanding throughout our being. Ah, my dear friend, today I invite you to notice what you are holding on to. Perhaps a thought, a memory, a worry, a regret. Sit with it, breathe, feel it, and gently, slowly, allow it to drift away. Trust that life continues, that the heart is resilient, and that by letting go, you make space for peace, clarity, and a quiet joy that is always present, waiting for you to return. Embracing the silence within. Ah, my dear friend, today I wish to sit with you quietly, to speak of something so subtle, yet so deeply alive, the silence within. You know, we often think of silence as emptiness, as the absence of sound or thought. But true silence, the kind I am speaking of, is not emptiness at all. It is a presence, a warmth, a gentle space that exists even when our minds chatter endlessly, when the world is loud and demanding. It is the soft pause between heartbeats, the small breath that comes and goes unnoticed, yet sustains us in ways we seldom recognize. I remember a young man who came to me, weary from the constant noise of life. He told me that his mind never rested, that every moment was filled with worry, with planning, with memory and fear. He felt that silence was boring, or worse, threatening, as if stillness would reveal some emptiness inside him. I smiled softly and said, "Ah, but silence is not the enemy. It is the friend who waits patiently for your company. Sit with it, and you may find that it holds you tenderly." At first he resisted. He fidgeted, he sighed, he looked away, afraid to meet the quiet. But slowly, as he lingered, as he let the moments stretch without demand, he began to notice small things. The warmth of sunlight on his hands, the rhythm of his breathing, the faint rustle of leaves outside. The silence was not cold, but inviting, like a familiar hand reaching out in welcome. Silence is not something to be forced, you see. When we try too hard, it flees like a shy bird. We must approach it gently, with curiosity and patience. It is always present, but it asks nothing of us. It does not demand understanding. It does not judge our thoughts or actions. It simply is, and when we allow ourselves to be with it, even for a moment, it teaches us things that words never can. I recall a monk in the mountains who would rise before dawn, sitting on the edge of a cliff, gazing at the mist curling around the pines. He spoke little, but his presence was profound. One day, a student asked him, "Master, why do you sit so long in silence?" He replied softly, "Because in silence, I hear what my heart is saying, and in that hearing, I am home." You see, silence is not about stopping thought or feeling. It is about creating space to notice them without being swept away. There is a story of a river I once observed. The river flowed, yes, with currents strong and playful, yet beneath its movement was a depth that was still, calm, unshaken. That stillness held the entire river, the stones beneath, the fish that darted about, and even the reflection of the sky above. In this way, silence within us holds all the movements of our mind, worries, joys, sorrows, without being overwhelmed. It does not resist, it does not cling. It simply contains, tenderly, like a mother holding her child. I remember guiding a woman who struggled with anger, frustration, and regret. She could not rest because her mind replayed old arguments, old hurts, and she could not forgive. I told her gently, "Come, sit with the silence for a moment. Listen not to the stories your mind tells, but to the quiet beneath them." At first, the silence felt heavy, almost painful. But gradually, as she lingered, she noticed the subtle ease of her own breathing, the softness in her chest that had been buried beneath years of tension. In this silence, her heart began to release, and for the first time, she felt something like peace. Not the absence of life, not the absence of pain, but a space where both could coexist without suffocating her spirit. Silence is a teacher. It speaks in whispers, not commands. It does not rush. It does not demand mastery. It asks only that we show up, that we sit gently, that we notice. In silence, we find perspective. The worries that seemed so urgent an hour ago now appear like small clouds drifting across the vast sky of our awareness. The fears that held us captive loosen their grip, and we see that beneath them, there is a steady, unshakable ground within us. Even in conversation, silence has its place. Sometimes, when we speak too quickly, we miss the subtle beauty of the pause, the moment where understanding deepens, where hearts touch without words. I have observed friends sitting together, saying little, yet the connection between them is rich, alive, unspoken. Silence allows this depth to emerge. It is the invisible thread that holds meaning, the gentle pause that lets insight bloom. I have taught many students that the mind's chatter is like a crowd in a marketplace, noisy, urgent, demanding attention. The silence within is like stepping into a quiet courtyard, away from the clamor. It is not the absence of people or life, but the absence of unnecessary tension, the space where awareness can settle. And in that stillness, we notice things we never noticed before. The curve of a leaf, the warmth of sunlight on our skin, the slow unfolding of our own thoughts. Ah, dear one, do not think that silence is only for monks or those who have removed themselves from the world. It is available to you. In each breath, each pause between actions, each moment when you notice the world without trying to control it. Even a few breaths of awareness can reveal the depth of peace within. And as you practice, the silence becomes less an escape and more a companion. It walks with you in the marketplace. It waits with you in the storm. It sits with you in joy and sorrow alike. Silence is also a mirror. In it, we see ourselves clearly. Not the self we perform for others, not the self we pretend to be, but the quiet, honest self that simply is. And when we meet ourselves in this gentle way, we begin to respond to life more lightly, more tenderly. We no longer need to push, to force, to control. We respond from clarity, from the awareness that everything moves, everything changes, yet the ground within remains steady. I have guided many who feared silence, fearing the confrontation with themselves, fearing the quiet truth of their own hearts. And always, when they allow themselves to linger, to breathe, to notice, they return with a soft laugh, a gentle light in their eyes, a deeper connection to the world and to themselves. Silence does not hurt, it does not judge, it only waits with patience, reminding us that we are already enough, already present, already whole. Even in grief, in confusion, in uncertainty, silence offers comfort. It is not a solution, it is not a cure, but it is a gentle presence, a tender hand resting on the heart, a whisper that says, "You are here. You are alive. You are safe in this moment." And in this awareness, the mind begins to slow, the heart softens, and life, with all its complexity, becomes more manageable, more tender, more beautiful. Ah, my friend, as we sit here, I invite you to notice the silence between your breaths. Notice the stillness that holds your thoughts. Do not try to grasp it. Do not try to make it do something. Simply notice. Feel the warmth of its presence, the quiet depth that is always there, waiting, welcoming unconditionally. And in this gentle companionship, you may find that the heart lightens, the mind softens, and life, with all its noise and rush, becomes a little more tender, a little more alive, and infinitely more peaceful. The gentle flow of life. Ah, my dear friend, today we sit together again, and I want to share with you something that is very close to my heart. The gentle flow of life. You see, we often think of life as a series of events that push us this way, and that, like a river being forced through a narrow channel. But life, when observed deeply, flows softly, gracefully, like water meandering through a quiet valley, and it does so in its own time. We, with our hurry and our worry, sometimes forget this. We push, we pull, we resist, and then we wonder why we feel so tired, so restless, so unsteady. I remember a student who once came to me, worried and anxious, holding on to the fear that life would never settle, that every day would bring new trouble, new confusion. She carried her life in her hands like a fragile bird, afraid that the moment she let go, it would fall apart. I said to her gently, "Ah, but life is not a bird to hold, it is a stream to flow with. If you grasp too tightly, you may crush it, but if you flow with it, it carries you in ways that are gentle and sustaining." She looked at me unsure, and yet I could see a small curiosity flicker in her eyes, the faint glimmer of trust that perhaps she could learn to move softly rather than strain. Life has a rhythm, my friend, a rhythm that is subtle, yet always present. Sometimes it moves quickly, like the wind racing through the trees, and sometimes slowly, like fog rolling over the mountains. If we resist the rhythm, if we try to force it into our own designs, we create struggle, tension, and pain. But if we notice the rhythm, if we move gently with it, then even the hardest moments can become bearable. Even the storms can feel tender, like a cleansing rain that refreshes the earth. I often tell my students that life is like a stream that passes through many landscapes. In some places, the water runs over smooth stones, clear and easy, almost playful. In other places, it encounters rocks, fallen branches, and unexpected bends. The stream does not fight these obstacles. It flows around them, sometimes slowing, sometimes splashing, sometimes curling into a quiet pool before moving again. In the same way, our lives will encounter challenges, difficulties, and surprises. The gentle flow is not about avoiding these, but about learning to move with them without losing our balance, without hardening our hearts. There was a young man who came to the monastery, burdened by grief and anger. He said to me, "Master, I cannot understand why life treats me so unfairly. Why must there be so much pain?" I took his hand, feeling the tension in his grip, the tightness in his chest, and I said, "Ah, my friend, life is neither fair nor unfair. It is like this stream, moving as it must, touching stones and soil alike. Your heart, however, can learn to flow with it, softening as the water softens the rocks it touches. You cannot change the stream, but you can learn to float." He frowned, unsure, but over time, as he allowed himself to notice each moment, each small gift, each breath, he began to feel the stream within him, a gentle, steady presence that carried him through both joy and sorrow. We are often in such a hurry, are we not? Always thinking the next step will bring happiness, always chasing something just beyond our reach. But the gentle flow asks only that we notice now, that we allow ourselves to rest in the unfolding of the moment. Notice the sunlight on a leaf, the soft hum of life around you, the rhythm of your own breathing. Notice the way your heart expands when you smile, even at a small kindness, even at a tiny gesture of grace. Life does not need to be controlled. It does not need to be fixed. It needs only to be noticed, accepted, and honored with the lightness of our attention. I recall a time when the monastery garden was heavy with autumn leaves. I asked a student to rake them into piles, but he was impatient, wanting the work to be done quickly. I said, "Notice each leaf, each color, each shape. Do not rush. Let your hands move with the rhythm of the wind, with the flow of the moment." At first he resisted, irritated by my slow approach. But as he lingered, as he allowed himself to move gently, he began to feel the joy in the simple act, the connection between his hands, the earth, and the quiet beauty of what was around him. Life, you see, is always teaching us in this way, if only we slow down enough to notice. Even in sorrow, the gentle flow is present. A mother mourning a child, a friend grieving a loss, a heart broken by misunderstanding. These moments feel like torrents, and yet within them, there is a quiet stream that continues unnoticed at first. It is in noticing this stream, in allowing ourselves to move gently with it, that we find resilience, that we find hope. We do not erase pain. We do not avoid suffering. We simply learn to flow with it, to carry it gently as we would a fragile bird or a delicate flower. Ah, my dear one, sometimes people ask me, "Master, how do we find the flow of life? How do we stop struggling?" I smile because the answer is both simple and subtle. Notice, breathe, allow, do not rush. Watch the clouds drift, feel your feet touch the earth, hear the wind in the trees. Life is flowing already, whether we notice or not. Our task is only to move with it, softly, patiently, with awareness and care. And as we do, we discover that even the most chaotic, difficult moments can contain beauty, tenderness, and a quiet, sustaining joy. There was an old monk who told me once, "Flow is not about doing more, it is about being more. Being present, being aware, being soft." The river does not worry about the shore. It only moves, carrying all that it meets with gentle acceptance. I think of these words often, especially when I feel impatient, when I feel the urge to force life into my own designs. And I remind myself, even in struggle, even in doubt, the flow continues, and if I soften, if I move with it rather than against it, I find peace, I find clarity, I find tenderness in the ordinary moments. And so, my dear friend, let us sit here together, noticing the gentle flow of our breath, the soft rhythm of our hearts, the quiet unfolding of life all around us. Let us allow the world to move as it will, and let us move with it softly, gently, patiently. Even the difficulties, even the moments of fear or sorrow, can be carried with care if we remember to flow, if we remember to soften, if we remember that life, in all its complexity, is a river moving steadily toward the sea, and we are already afloat, already held, already part of its tender, unbroken flow. Embracing stillness in motion. Ah, my dear friend, today we sit again, quietly together, and I wish to speak with you about something subtle, yet profoundly powerful: the embracing of stillness even while we move. It may sound strange at first, yes, because we often think stillness belongs only to sitting quietly, perhaps in meditation, perhaps in the deep silence of night, while the world sleeps. But stillness is not limited by posture or time. It is a quality, a state of heart and mind, that can exist even as we walk, speak, or tend to our daily tasks. Life does not pause for us to practice stillness, yet it invites us in each moment to carry it within ourselves. I remember a young seeker who came to me, rushing always, burdened by the fear of not doing enough, not achieving enough, not becoming enough. She would pace the garden paths, clutching her thoughts as tightly as a child clings to a toy, and she said, "Master, how do I find peace when I must always move, always work, always think?" I looked into her eyes, soft and trembling, and I said, "Ah, but even in motion, you can be still. Watch the wind in the trees. Watch your own feet on the earth. Notice your breath, even as it quickens." Stillness is not absence of movement. It is the presence of attention, the quiet heart in the midst of life. She frowned at first, puzzled, but gradually, over days and weeks, as she allowed herself to observe, she began to notice a subtle shift. Even in the midst of doing, even as life pressed upon her, there was a center, a calm place inside her that could be untouched by hurry or worry. Stillness is often mistaken for stopping, for being frozen, but the true stillness I speak of is more like a pond, calm at its surface, reflecting the sky, while beneath, life teems quietly, fully, without turbulence. You can move, you can act, you can laugh, you can cry, and still carry that calm pond within. This is not achieved by effort, by forcing the mind to be quiet, but by noticing the heartbeat, the inhale and exhale, the sensation of hands moving through water, or a brush across canvas, or even the turning of a simple wheel. The act itself becomes a meditation when the heart is attentive. I once observed a carpenter in a village nearby, his hands calloused, working the wood with great care. He did not sit in silence, yet there was a rhythm to his labor, a gentle focus, a stillness in the flow of action. He smiled occasionally, wiped his brow, adjusted the grain of wood, and continued. In that movement, he was fully present. I asked him, "Do you not tire of this work?" He laughed softly. "Master, I do not work, I move with the wood. The wood moves with me. We are one in this moment. There is no hurry. There is no strain. There is only now." That, my dear friend, is the dance of stillness in motion, a grace that can exist in the most ordinary of actions. We live in a world that urges us to hurry, to do, to achieve, to measure our lives against some imagined standard. But in embracing stillness, even amidst action, we find a different measure, not one of accomplishments or possessions, but of presence, of clarity, of softness of heart. The heart, like water, finds its way through the crevices of life when we allow it to be, when we allow ourselves to move gently, without force, without grasping. There was once a student who carried anger in his chest, a deep, boiling anger at circumstances he could not change. He approached me, fists clenched, voice tight, and he demanded, "Master, how can I find stillness when the world is so unfair?" I took his hands in mine and guided them to rest on his knees. See, even in your anger, you can notice the breath, you can feel the weight of your own body, you can sense the earth beneath your feet. The world may press, but your heart can remain soft. Stillness does not deny your feelings, it holds them gently, like a mother holding a child, without judgment, without strain. He was doubtful, restless, but over time, he began to notice that even in moments of frustration, even in moments of heated debate, there was a quiet space he could touch, a soft center that allowed him to act with clarity rather than simply react with force. Ah, my dear, we often forget that the world is not outside us. It is within us. Every sound, every touch, every sight is filtered through the heart and mind. If the heart is restless, the world feels chaotic. If the heart is soft, attentive, even the storm can feel gentle. Even the burden can feel light. Stillness in motion is the art of carrying that soft heart everywhere. It is the art of noticing the gentle unfolding of life, even in the midst of what seems overwhelming. I recall sitting by a river in the early morning. The mist hovered over the surface. The water moved slowly, carrying fallen leaves and tiny ripples, reflecting the rising sun in shades of gold and pink. I watched a heron step lightly along the shore, pausing, watching, then moving again, each movement deliberate yet effortless. And I thought, this is how life can be. We may have tasks, duties, worries, yet there is a way to move that is calm, soft, attentive. The heart need not be rushed. The mind need not be cluttered. Even in action, we can carry a quietness that soothes, that steadies, that nurtures. I often remind my students, stillness is not an end. It is not a goal. It is not a prize to earn after suffering or waiting. It is a companion, always available, quietly present in the background of your life. When you notice it, you taste it. When you move with it, you embody it. And oh, how transformative this is, my friend, when we truly begin to understand. The morning chores, the conversation with a neighbor, the stirring of tea, the sweeping of leaves, the turning of wheels, all become sacred, touched by presence, softened by awareness. Even the hardest moments can hold this stillness. Grief, fear, anger, exhaustion. These are not enemies to overcome. They are like the wind that bends the trees. The trees do not fight the wind, they sway with it. The trees bend, they stretch, they recover. And so can we. By carrying stillness within, by noticing our own heartbeat, our own breath, our own softness, we learn to bend without breaking, to flow without losing ourselves, to act without hardening, to live without resisting the tender, subtle rhythm of life. Ah, my dear one, remember this. You are already capable of stillness. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to search for it far away. It is here, within, patiently waiting. And as you move through your day, let your steps be gentle, your hands soft, your mind attentive. Let your heart embrace the ordinary, the fleeting, the messy, the beautiful. In this way, even in the busiest moments, even in the hardest challenges, even in the noise of the world, you can carry a quiet pond, a gentle river, a soft flame. Stillness in motion is not a paradox. It is a doorway, always open, always here, always tender. So, my friend, walk slowly if you must, breathe deeply, notice and soften. Allow your heart to be like water, fluid, gentle, patient, embracing, and always moving with the rhythm of life. And as you do, you will discover that life itself is no longer a burden, no longer a struggle, but a gentle companion flowing alongside you, carrying you tenderly through every twist, every turn, every moment. The gentle flow of time. Ah, my dear one, today we speak about time, not as something that presses upon us or hurries us along, but as a gentle river that carries all of life within it. You see, we are often afraid of time. We measure it, we chase it, we worry that it slips too quickly through our fingers. But time is not our enemy. It is not a master to serve. It is a companion, quiet, flowing, patient, and always present, whether we notice it or not. Sometimes, the world makes it seem so loud, so urgent, so sharp. But beneath the clamor, there is a soft rhythm, a heartbeat of existence, waiting for us to feel it, waiting for us to notice that life itself is always enough, always here. I remember a young student who came to me, full of worry about the future. She clutched a notebook filled with plans, schedules, and expectations, and she said, "Master, I am afraid I am running out of time. There is so much to do, so little to achieve, and I feel I am slipping, always slipping." I looked at her hands, tense and trembling, and I said, "Ah, my dear, you are not slipping. You are flowing. You are part of the river. The river does not hurry itself. It bends, it carries the stones, the leaves, the fish, all together, softly, gracefully. So too can you move through your life. Stop grasping at the riverbank, stop fighting the current, flow, and trust that it is enough." She frowned, unsure, but slowly, over weeks, she began to notice the subtle changes. The quiet mornings where the sun touched her window, the laughter of children in the street, the soft sound of wind through the trees. She began to understand that time does not punish. Time nurtures. Time teaches. The river of time is always moving, but it does not demand we rush. It allows the flowers to bloom in their season. It allows the leaves to fall when their moment comes, and it carries the fallen seeds to new soil, where they may grow again. Our lives, too, are a series of blooms and falls, of beginnings and endings, of moments small and grand, of laughter, tears, and silence. If we resist, if we fight, we feel pressure. If we observe, if we soften, we feel harmony. There is a gentle flow to all things, and we are invited to flow with it, to notice it, to touch it with awareness. I recall walking with an old monk once through a forest at dawn. The mist hovered lightly over the path, and the dew clung to the leaves like tiny diamonds. He moved slowly, each step careful, mindful, yet effortless. I asked him, "Master, why do you walk so slowly when there is so much to see, so much to do?" He smiled, eyes twinkling, and he said, "Ah, the river moves without hurry, yet it reaches the ocean. The tree grows without rush, yet it reaches the sky. We do not need to force our passage through time. We simply need to notice, to breathe, to move with the gentle flow." And in that moment, I felt the truth of it. Time does not belong to the anxious mind. It belongs to the patient heart. We often think we must control time, plan it, schedule it, pack it full of tasks, achievements, and goals. But the river teaches us something different. It teaches us to honor the moments, even the small ones. The soft sound of rain on the roof, the warm cup of tea in your hands, the quiet smile of a friend. These are not interruptions or wastes of time. They are the essence of time itself. They are its sweetness, its gentle touch, its lesson in presence. When we notice, when we soften, when we allow ourselves to feel, we find that time is not rushing us at all. It carries us, it teaches us, it cradles us. I once met a traveler who was always in a hurry, moving from place to place, chasing experiences, chasing achievements, yet never resting, never pausing. He came to me exhausted, eyes heavy, and said, "Master, I feel I am lost in time. Every day is a blur, and I forget who I am." I guided him to sit beneath a tree, the sun warming his shoulders, and we simply watched the shadows shift, the wind stir the leaves, the clouds drift slowly across the sky. After a while, he whispered, "I feel something, something soft, something quiet." I nodded gently. "Yes, my friend, this is the river. This is time flowing. When you stop grasping, when you soften, When you allow yourself to notice, you touch the flow. You are never lost. You are always carried. Time teaches patience, and patience teaches compassion. We cannot force the seasons. We cannot force the river. We cannot force another heart. When we soften into the flow, when we allow life to move at its natural pace, we discover a gentleness that is impossible to find in hurry. We find laughter. We find tears. We find warmth. We find a rhythm that feels like home, because it is our own heartbeat, echoing in harmony with the larger world. Ah, my dear one, understand this. Life is not a checklist, not a race, not a series of accomplishments to tally. Life is a river, carrying all we are, all we love, all we have yet to know. When we move with it, when we notice the small ripples, the tiny eddies, the soft currents, we discover that we are not separate from time. We are time, flowing gently, patiently, fully, in every breath, every step, every heartbeat. Even the hardest moments, the darkest nights, the times when sorrow feels endless, they are part of the river too. The water does not avoid the rocks or the fallen branches. It flows around them, it embraces them, it continues. So too can we. We can move through grief, through fear, through loss, carrying the soft center of our being, noticing, feeling, breathing. The river does not reject anything, and neither can we, if we wish to flow gently, if we wish to live tenderly. I have seen the elderly, bent with years, yet radiant with calm, moving through the village slowly, carrying in their eyes the reflection of the river, the awareness of time's gentle touch. They do not hurry. They do not clutch. They do not demand. They notice. They soften. They embrace. And in their presence, the world feels less harsh, less urgent, less frightening. There is a quiet teaching in their steps, a gentle wisdom in their smiles. And so, my dear friend, the river of time invites us. It invites us to notice, to soften, to flow. Not to resist, not to force, not to hurry. To touch the small moments, to honor the ordinary, to breathe deeply, to feel the sun on your skin, the wind in your hair, the warmth of another hand. Time is a companion, a gentle current, carrying us, shaping us, teaching us, always, always tenderly. Ah, remember, even when the days feel long, even when the nights feel endless, even when the world seems harsh and hurried, you are carried. You are flowing. You are moving with the river, and the river is patient. It does not scold. It does not judge. It does not hurry. It only flows, and in its flow, you can find rest. You can find clarity. You can find the gentle, soft heartbeat of life itself. Notice it. Soften. Flow. And you will see that the river of time is not an enemy, not a burden, but a gentle companion, always present, always teaching, always carrying you tenderly, step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment. The stillness within the storm. Ah, my dear one. Today we speak of something that everyone seeks but few truly notice. The stillness that lives inside the storm. You see, the world is full of noise, full of motion, full of things that pull at your mind and heart every single moment. There are days when the wind seems to shake everything around you, when the sky darkens and the rain falls heavy, when voices, worries, and fears swirl together like leaves caught in a torrent. And in these moments, we often look outside, searching for calm, hoping someone else will bring it, wishing that the storm would simply end. But the truth, my dear, is that the calm you seek is already within you. It is there, waiting quietly, even as the storm rages. I remember a student, a young man, who came to me many years ago, hands trembling, eyes wide with worry. He said, "Master, everything is spinning out of control. My work, my family, my life. I don't know how to catch up, how to find peace. Every day is louder than the last, and I feel I will be swept away. I invited him to sit with me by the pond outside the temple. The water was still, reflecting the sky like a mirror, while the wind rustled the trees around us, tossing their branches and leaves. "Look," I said softly. "See the water? The wind moves the branches, the leaves dance, yet the pond beneath remains calm. You cannot stop the wind, you cannot stop the storm, but you can choose to notice the stillness that is always beneath it. You can rest there, even for a moment, and in that moment, the storm will not overwhelm you." He looked at me, puzzled, and I smiled gently. "Do not misunderstand, my young friend. The storm is real, and it will touch you, and sometimes it will shake you. That is life. That is the river flowing. But within you, there is a place untouched by all of it, a place where you can breathe deeply, where the mind can soften, where the heart can feel the quiet, tender rhythm of life itself." He closed his eyes, and for the first time in months, he breathed without rushing, without planning, without clinging. And slowly, as he felt the gentle beating of his own heart, he understood, not with words, but with a deep, quiet knowing. The stillness within the storm is not about escaping life, about shutting your eyes to reality, or about pretending that difficulties do not exist. It is about touching something more fundamental, something more enduring, something that cannot be shaken. Imagine a mountain in the distance, tall and steady, while clouds and storms move around it. The mountain does not flee, it does not resist, it simply stands. And in its standing, it offers the world a sense of unwavering presence. So too can we learn to stand within ourselves, to find that inner mountain, the stillness that the storm cannot touch. Ah, the irony, my dear one, is that when we chase the calm outside, we often miss the calm within. We think that peace comes from quiet surroundings, from having control over people, from arranging our lives perfectly, from making everything fit into our plans. But peace does not come from without. It comes from within. It comes from the simple, quiet awareness that even when the world shakes, even when the winds roar, there is a part of you that does not move, that does not waver, that simply is. This is the place we call the stillness within the storm. It is patient, soft, and gentle, yet infinitely strong. I recall walking through a marketplace many years ago, bustling with noise, chatter, and activity. People hurried, voices clanged, carts rolled, vendors called out, and everywhere I looked, there was movement, motion, haste. And yet, even in the center of that chaos, I felt it. The quiet space that exists between the sounds, the breaths that pass unnoticed, the stillness behind the eyes of each passerby. I breathed slowly, letting the noise wash over me without clinging to it. And in that moment, I understood that stillness is not the absence of the storm, but the ability to rest within it, untouched, patient, awake. The storm, my dear one, may be sadness, anger, worry, fear, or loss. It may be the rushing demands of work, the unexpected news, the misunderstandings, the pain of the body, or the heaviness of the heart. It may even be the noise inside your own mind, the endless chatter, the what-ifs, the comparisons, the judgments. And in all of this, the practice is not to banish the storm, not to fight it, not to pretend it is not real. The practice is to breathe, to notice, to soften, and to allow yourself to rest in the quiet space that has always been there, quietly waiting, gently carrying you, tenderly reminding you that you are whole, even in the chaos. I once guided a group of children to a quiet garden. They were restless, laughing, running, full of energy. I asked them to sit beneath the old oak tree and simply listen. At first, there was giggling, shifting, and whispers, but slowly, as they noticed the rustling leaves, the soft hum of bees, the distant bird call. Their bodies softened, their hearts opened, and they found themselves smiling quietly. The storm of their own minds, the restlessness, the endless questions, the impatience, was still there, yes, but they began to sense something more, a gentle calm that lived in each breath, a gentle calm that existed even in the middle of activity, of noise, of life. Ah, my dear, the stillness within the storm is not something distant or mysterious. It is here now, in every breath you take, in every heartbeat, in every quiet moment you allow yourself to notice. It is the soft space behind your thoughts, the tender awareness behind your emotions, the quiet heart that watches the world without rushing, without needing to fix, without needing to escape. It is simple, and yet it is profound. It is always available, and yet often ignored. Even when the world seems to demand everything of you, even when the night is long and sleepless, even when the heart feels heavy, you can touch the stillness. It is not something to earn, not something to achieve, not something to grasp. It is something you remember, something you come home to, something that has been part of you all along. It is patient, gentle, tender, and endlessly present. And when you touch it, even for a moment, you find that the storm loses its power to overwhelm you. It may howl, it may rage, it may roar, but inside, there is a quiet mountain, there is a calm pond, there is a soft breath, there is you, always resting, always tender, always enough. I have seen the elderly, the wise, the gentle ones, and they carry the storm differently. They move through life with the same challenges, yet there is a softness in their gaze, a patience in their movements, a quiet joy that does not depend on circumstance. This comes from remembering the stillness within, from resting in the quiet space that the storm cannot touch. And in seeing them, the young and restless begin to sense it too. The gentle rhythm, the tender heartbeat, the unwavering calm that exists even in the middle of chaos. So, my dear one, today, let the storm come, let the winds blow, let the rains fall, let the world swirl. And as it does, notice your breath, feel your heart, sense the soft, tender space that has always been there. Rest there, if only for a moment, and you will know that the storm is not stronger than you, that it cannot reach the deepest part of your being, that you are already safe, already whole, already flowing gently, patiently, tenderly through life. The practice, then, is simple. It is gentle. It is quiet. Notice the storm. Breathe. Touch the stillness. Rest. And in doing so, you carry the calm into the chaos, the peace into the noise, the tender heart into a world that sometimes forgets to be gentle. And this, my dear, is the gift, the teaching, the endless blessing of the stillness within the storm. Walking gently on the path of time. Ah, my dear one, today we sit together to speak about something that everyone experiences, yet few truly notice: the flow of time and the gentle way we might walk upon it. Time, as you know, is always moving, always flowing, like a river that never stops, carrying everything along. We often think that we must hurry, that we must grasp every moment, that we must fill our days with doing, with striving, with planning, with chasing. And yet, when we move too fast, when we rush and hurry, we miss the quiet, the soft, tender moments that are already here, waiting patiently for us to notice. The secret, my dear one, is to walk gently on the path of time, not to fight it, not to wish it were different, but to let it carry you with care and awareness, step by step, breath by breath. I remember a young woman who came to me, burdened with worry. She said, "Master, I feel that time is slipping away. I have so much to do, so many responsibilities, so many expectations, and I am afraid that I am failing, that I am missing something important, that life is moving faster than I can keep up with." I smiled softly. placing my hand gently over hers. "Ah, my dear," I said, "the river does not rush, and yet it flows always. The river does not cling to the stones it passes. It does not fight the branches in its path. It simply moves step by step, moment by moment, and in doing so, it carries life with it. So too can you walk with time, gently, softly, with awareness, and not be afraid of its flow. We often think that time is our enemy, that it will take things from us, that it will leave us behind. But the truth, my dear, is that time is always here, always giving, always present. It does not hurry or linger. It simply flows. And when we learn to walk gently upon it, we begin to see that every moment contains its own fullness. Every morning sun, every evening breeze, every laugh, every tear, every quiet breath, all are gifts of time. All are opportunities to walk gently, to notice, to breathe, to be present. I remember walking through an old forest many years ago, the earth soft beneath my feet, the leaves rustling gently, sunlight spilling in golden patches. I watched a small stream winding between the stones, flowing gently, softly, always moving, yet never in a hurry. I thought, this is how we might live, moving, flowing, always present, yet not rushing, not clutching, not grasping, simply carrying ourselves through the path of life with gentle care. The forest does not demand, the stream does not push, and yet all things move, all things grow, all things are part of the dance of time. And the irony is that when we try to control time, we lose our steps, we stumble, we fall. We think that by planning every moment, by scheduling every hour, by calculating every second, we can hold on to life. We can make it safe. We can make it perfect. But life is not a clock, my dear. Life is a river, a forest, a gentle breeze that touches your cheek. It is not meant to be held tightly or feared. It is meant to be noticed, to be felt, to be walked upon softly with awareness and care. I once guided a group of students in the mountains. They were restless, eager to climb, to reach the top, to conquer, to arrive. And I said to them, do not hurry. Do not think only of the top. Each step is a gift. Each breath is a teacher. The mountain will be here, whether you rush or walk gently. Learn to notice the stones, the trees, the birdsong. Learn to feel your own heartbeat, your own breath, your own presence. Walk gently, and you will find that the journey itself is the blessing. At first, they were impatient, wanting to rush, wanting to finish, wanting to see the view. But slowly, as they paid attention, they began to walk with softness, with care, with presence. And by the time they reached the top, their hearts were lighter, their eyes brighter, their spirits fuller. Not because they had hurried, but because they had walked gently, step by step, along the path of time. My dear one, do not think that walking gently is weakness. It is not. It is strength. It is awareness. It is understanding that life is not a race, that every moment is complete in itself, that every breath contains infinity, and that every step can be a meditation, a prayer, a gift. When you walk gently, you notice the colors of the sky, the whisper of the wind, the softness of the earth beneath your feet. You notice your own heart, your own mind, your own tenderness. And in noticing, you live fully, completely, here and now. Time may bring joys and sorrows, beginnings and endings, arrivals and departures. It may bring laughter and tears, friends and strangers, love and loss. But walking gently on its path allows you to experience it without fear, without clinging, without rushing. You allow life to unfold naturally, like a flower opening to the sun. You allow yourself to be present with what is, to notice what is, to rest in what is. And in doing so, you carry a gentle strength within you, a quiet calm, a tender awareness that nothing can take away. I have seen the elderly sitting by the river, watching the water flow, smiling softly, breathing slowly, hands folded gently. They have lived through many seasons, many storms, many joys, many sorrows. And yet, their eyes shine with softness. Their steps are careful but confident. Their hearts are tender yet strong. This is the result of walking gently upon the path of time. They have learned not to hurry, not to cling, not to fear, but simply to notice, to breathe, to be present, to carry themselves with care. And in doing so, they have discovered the depth and beauty of each moment. And so, my dear one, the teaching is simple and yet profound. Notice the moments. Breathe in gently, breathe out softly. Feel your steps, your heartbeat, your presence. Walk through the day as if it were a path in a quiet forest, a soft breeze brushing your skin, the sun warming your face, the earth beneath your feet supporting you tenderly. Walk with awareness, walk with care, walk with tenderness. And as you do, you will see that time is not your enemy, that the river carries you gently, that the storms will pass, that the sun will shine, and that you are always present, always whole, always enough. Life is a gentle journey, my dear one, and when we walk upon it softly, we see the beauty in every stone, every leaf, every breath, every heartbeat. The past does not weigh you down. The future does not push you forward. The present is your gift. The present is your path. The present is the place where you can touch the river of time, feel its flow, rest in its gentle movement, and carry yourself with tenderness, care, and love through every moment. Embracing the stillness within. My dear one, let us speak today about something that seems so simple, yet in truth, it is the deepest of all mysteries, the stillness within. You see, we live in a world that is constantly moving, constantly noisy, constantly demanding our attention, our energy, our mind. We are pulled in many directions at once, thoughts racing like wild horses, emotions swirling like storm clouds, responsibilities piling like rocks upon our shoulders. And in all this movement, it is easy to forget, to overlook, to neglect the quiet center that always exists inside us, patiently waiting, gently breathing, tenderly present. This stillness, my dear, is not something you must chase. It is not something you must create. It is already there, always, within you, and it is here to guide you, to nurture you, to teach you how to live with gentleness, awareness, and love. I remember many years ago, a young man came to me. He was restless, agitated, always rushing, always speaking, always doing. His mind was full of worries, of thoughts of the future, of regrets about the past. And he said to me, "Master, I cannot find peace. My mind is too loud. My heart is too heavy. I do not know what to do." I smiled softly and said, my dear one, you are looking for peace in the wrong place. You are looking outside, in the noise, in the doing, in the chasing. Peace is not outside. It is inside, in the stillness you have been ignoring all along. It is quiet, soft, subtle. It does not shout. It does not demand. It waits for you, gently, tenderly, with patience and care. Let us sit together, and I will show you. And so we sat. Not long at first, just a few moments, just a breath or two. And I asked him to notice his own breathing, softly, gently, without trying to change it. Do not force it. Do not hurry it. Do not push it. Just notice it, I said. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, he began to notice the rise and fall of his chest, the gentle flow of air in and out. And in that noticing, a soft space appeared in his mind, a small gap between the rushing thoughts, a small window of calm. And I said, "This is your stillness. It is always here. Even when the world is noisy, even when your mind is loud, even when your heart is heavy, it is always here. You need only to notice it." Ah, my dear one, how often we forget this simple truth. We think that peace, that clarity, that calm must be earned, must be achieved, must be searched for far and wide. But the truth is that it has been within us all along. It is like a quiet pond beneath the surface of a turbulent river. You do not create the pond. You do not make it appear. It is there, always. And when you pause, when you breathe, when you rest your mind, when you stop trying to push, to grasp, to control, it reveals itself. And in its presence, all the noise, all the worry, all the fear, all the rushing begins to soften, begins to fade, begins to settle. I remember guiding a group of students in the mountains, on a path lined with pine trees, the air crisp and cool, sunlight scattering through the leaves. We stopped to rest, and I asked them to close their eyes, to notice the sound of the wind in the trees, the soft rustle of the leaves, the distant song of a bird. Do not try to make sense of it. Do not think about what it means. Just notice it. Be present with it. Let it fill the space inside you. And as they did, I saw their shoulders relax, their faces soften, their minds quiet. They had been walking, rushing, climbing, striving, and in this simple noticing, they found the stillness within. And I said, "This is your true companion always. This stillness will guide you when the path is unclear, will comfort you when the heart is heavy, will nurture you when the world is harsh. It is yours, always." Ah, but my dear one, stillness is not merely the absence of movement, nor the absence of sound. It is presence. It is awareness. It is gentle attention. It is noticing your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts, your feelings, without judgment, without forcing, without pushing. It is the gentle pause between one thought and the next, the soft space between one emotion and the next, the quiet room inside where you can rest and be yourself, wholly and completely. It is a refuge, a teacher, a friend. And the more you visit it, the more you sit with it, the more you notice it, the more it will grow within you, like a small flame becoming a warm fire, a seed becoming a tender tree, a stream becoming a gentle river. And sometimes, my dear, the world will still be noisy. Thoughts will still rush, responsibilities will still press, worries will still loom. And yet, if you have found even a small corner of stillness within, you can carry it with you. You can return to it at any moment, no matter where you are, no matter what is happening. It is not something that leaves you, not something that can be taken. It is yours, always. And in that stillness, you will find clarity, you will find calm, you will find guidance. You will find that life, even in its chaos, is tender, is gentle, is full of moments that can be noticed, that can be loved, that can be held softly in your heart. I remember sitting once by a quiet lake at dawn, the water smooth as glass, reflecting the soft pink and gold of the morning sky. The mist rose slowly, delicately, and the birds sang their gentle songs. I closed my eyes and breathed, and in that breathing, I felt the stillness within, so vast, so gentle, so present. And I thought, this is what we have been seeking all along. Not in rushing, not in striving, not in achieving, but here, within us, in the quiet, tender, unchanging stillness that has been with us all along. And in that moment, the world seemed to pause, just for a moment, and I felt its heart, I felt its breath, I felt its gentle love, and I knew that the stillness within is the doorway to peace, the doorway to clarity, the doorway to life lived tenderly, fully, and completely. And so, my dear one, as you move through your days, remember this: the stillness within is always here. It does not ask for anything. It does not demand anything. It simply exists patiently, gently, with care, with love, with awareness. Visit it often. Sit with it. Breathe with it. Notice it. And you will find that life becomes softer, gentler, more tender. Your mind becomes calmer. Your heart becomes lighter. Your steps become gentler. And in this way, you learn to live not only in the world, but also within yourself fully, wholly, tenderly, and gently in the quiet, loving presence of the stillness that has always been, and will always be, your companion, your guide, your teacher, your friend. The journey's gentle close. Ah, my dear one, now we have arrived at this final part together, and I wish to speak to you with the gentlest of hearts, as one who has walked beside you through many thoughts, many moments, many breaths. You see, life is a journey that moves in waves, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, but always flowing, always present, always teaching us in ways we may not fully understand at first. And in this quiet moment here, with words spoken softly, I want to remind you of something very simple, very profound, and very tender. You have been learning not to chase, not to grasp, but to notice, to feel, to breathe, to rest in the gentle presence of your own being. The journey we have shared in these parts has been long, and in each step, each pause, each story, I hope you have begun to see that the heart of living is never in racing, never in striving to be somewhere else, but in arriving gently where you are, again and again, with openness, with kindness, and with curiosity for your own unfolding. I remember once, many years ago, a student came to me, weary from life, heavy with worry, anxious with longing. She said, "Master, I feel lost. I feel small. I feel like I do not belong anywhere." And I took her hand softly and said, "Ah, beloved one, you are never lost. You are exactly where you need to be, even if your mind does not yet see it. Your smallness is not emptiness. It is a beginning, a doorway to something tender, to something real, to something that is yours alone. And belonging is not something you must seek in the world. It lives within you, quietly, patiently, lovingly, waiting for you to notice it." And slowly, slowly, she began to breathe, and in that breathing, she felt the weight lift, not entirely, but just enough to see a soft light, a tender thread of hope weaving itself around her heart. Ah, and this is what I wish for you in this final part of our journey together, that you may recognize the threads of tenderness in your own life, that you may see that even in the moments of confusion, even in the moments of fear, even in the moments when it feels as if nothing is certain, there is a soft, gentle current running beneath all of it, a quiet presence that is your own. And it is patient, it is tender, it does not hurry, it does not scold, it waits lovingly for you to rest, for you to notice, for you to breathe, for you to come home to yourself. Do you remember the times we spoke of the breath, of the gentle rise and fall of the chest, the quiet rhythm that carries us from moment to moment? That simple act, noticing the breath, is not small. It is a doorway. It is a doorway to your own presence, to your own heart, to your own peace. It does not demand perfection. It does not demand achievement. It simply asks that you pause, that you notice, that you allow yourself to rest in the tender awareness of this very moment. And in that resting, everything else, the worries, the fears, the pressures, the uncertainties, begins to soften. Not vanish entirely, perhaps, for life always brings challenges, but softened enough that you can move with gentleness, with clarity, with compassion, both for yourself and for others. I recall a morning when the sky was painted in soft rose and gold, the kind that seems to wrap the world in a quiet embrace. I was sitting alone, yet not truly alone, for the wind, the trees, the distant mountains, they were all present with me. And in that stillness, I realized that life itself is a gentle teacher. It is not harsh, it is not cruel, even when it seems so. It is tender, it is patient. It is always giving us opportunities to awaken to the quiet love and presence that exists within us, waiting to be seen, waiting to be felt, waiting to guide us. And this, my dear one, is the essence I wish to leave you with in this final part. That life, in all its rushing, in all its noise, in all its uncertainties, is still deeply, quietly, tenderly, ours to notice, ours to rest within, ours to love. Ah, yes, and love, you see, is not something distant or grand. It is not something to be sought in great deeds or in recognition or in perfection. It is the gentle noticing of the small, the tender feeling of connection to what is around us, the soft opening of the heart to what is, not what should be. Love is in the awareness of a breath, in the gentle watching of a leaf drifting down a stream, in the noticing of another's smile, in the quiet presence that says, I am here, I see you, I am with you. And as you continue your journey beyond this series of words, may this gentle love accompany you. May it guide you. May it remind you always that you are not separate, that you are not small, that you are entirely beautifully, tenderly part of this world, part of life, part of love itself. And sometimes, my dear, you will stumble. Sometimes you will forget. Sometimes the weight of life will press so hard that the gentle awareness we have been speaking of will seem distant, faint, almost invisible. And yet, even then, it is there. Always, even in the darkest moment, even in the heaviest heart, even in the loudest chaos, the stillness, the tenderness, the quiet love, they have not left you. They are waiting, like a soft lantern in the night, to guide you back, to remind you, to enfold you in gentle light. And it is patient. It is faithful. It is always with you. As I speak to you now, at the close of this journey, I invite you to carry with you the gentle truths we have explored together. That life is tender, that presence is precious, that the breath is a guide, that stillness is your companion, that love is simple, that each moment is a gift, and that you, my dear one, are always enough, exactly as you are. There is no need to rush. There is no need to change. There is no need to be anyone other than yourself. Simply arrive. Simply notice. Simply rest. And in doing so, you will find that life unfolds with softness, with clarity, with warmth, and with gentle wonder. And now, my dear one, as this final part closes, let your heart be light. Let your mind be soft. Let your breath be gentle. Remember that the journey does not end because these words have ended. The journey continues softly, tenderly, beautifully, with every step, with every breath, with every quiet noticing. And in each moment, know that you are held, you are loved, you are enough, and you are always part of this vast, gentle unfolding of life itself. Walk softly, breathe deeply, notice tenderly, and live with the quiet, unwavering love that has always been within you. And so, with all the warmth of a heart that has shared this path with you, I leave you here in peace, in hope, in gentle awareness, ready to carry these truths forward into every day, every moment, every breath for the rest of your life.